Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. An unlikely hero gave the Cavaliers life last night in Cleveland. Dennis Schroeder, acquired at the deadline from Sacramento, scored 11 of his 19 points in the fourth quarter to propel the Cavs to a 125-120 win over the Raptors in Game 5 of their first-round playoff series. Evan Mobley and James Harden had 23 each. The win gives Cleveland a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7. Toronto's going to host Game 6 on Friday. Winner of the series has either Orlando or Detroit in the second round. Pistons guard Cade Cunningham scored 45 last night to give Detroit a 116-109 win over Orlando and a 3-2 lead in that series. Magic are going to host Game 6 on Friday. In baseball last night, the Rockies rolled the Reds 13-2 in Cincinnati. They'll have the series rubber match today at 12:40. Hear that one over on the Fan, too. The Guardians put a stop to a 4-game slide yesterday, beating the Rays 3-1 in Cleveland. Guardians are off Thursday in Sacramento on Friday. This update sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop better, live better.
Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
I'm talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Barry here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then
it's a rundown.
And then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only 2 guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next 3. 10 o'clock, we'll open up that mailbag. Lots of emails from you fellas and ladies. We will get to that coming at 10 o'clock. 10:30, Paul Finebaum drops by. Greg Sankey had a pretty interesting tweet about a golf ball that was making its way around that, quite honestly, Mr. Finebaum ought to send some our way since we talk to him every week. We'll get to all of that. So I was going to go in a different direction, but then I just started to occur to me the following things all happened starting last night, 9 o'clock, or really within the last 12 hours. So you guys will recall yesterday we had the conversation about the container that was left on the counter that needed to be in recycling, but it was the last bit of juice that actually bothered me the most. Well, my wife got wind of that. She got wind of that conversation that I had, and I think it's very probable that that she was the perpetrator of the crime in question yesterday and took some offense, not great offense, but some offense. So fast forward to last night. It's around 9 o'clock. Cavs game's on, watching that. Dicey, by the way, until late. I would be nervous if I were you, Reese. It was not the cleanest thing, but we'll get into that as it goes along. It's around 9 o'clock. And she's zonked. And she's like, I'm like, why don't you just go to bed? And she's like, oh, you're going to put the boys to bed? And I said, yeah, I'm going to put the boys to bed. It's going to be fine. I can put children to bed. And the way you do it is you say, go to bed. And then they go to bed, and that's it. And she give me some look like, yeah, right. I'm sure you're going to be able to handle it. And I'm like, come on. I'm a grown man. I'm 40. I can put kids to bed. So 9:20, littles go to bed 9:30. I mean, they head up 9:30, lights out 9:40. Big should be in bed 10 adjacent, lights out 10:30 is kind of the situation that he's kind of working with. So I send the 2 littles up. And I said, I'm going to come check on you at 9:30, and I'll say goodnight. So send them up. Everything's going smoothly. Put them to bed. And they're lights out 9:30. They're having conversation across the way, but nothing that's too big of a deal. NBC, I said, hey, bud, start headed in that direction. Okay, fine. So I watched the Cavs game, and then around 10:35, 10:40, I'm spent. So I head up. So I go check on NBC. Lights out. Okay, good. And I go to bed. I wake up this morning and prepping the show, and now she's up and the boys are up, and the following thing is said. What is going on here? I said, I'm doing work. I mean, it's in the kitchen. I don't know what's going on. NBC's like, well, Dad didn't tell us to. Dad didn't tell us to. What did I not do? What did I not do? What did I do? She So I go out there, and she goes, you didn't have them plug in their computers. You didn't have them empty their school bags. You didn't have them pour out their water bottles. You didn't have them plug in their phones. I said, well, when did that become a part of the go to bed? What? They know this. Why do I have to tell them to? Why is this on me? She said, I thought you said you could put them to bed. So, first loss of the morning. This is marriage, kids, by the way. If you take a pound of flesh the day before, then you're going to get some eradicated from you the following morning. This is the give and take of the formal union. So the day's not going good at this point because now I've lost. So now we're on, and I've long lamented the drive-through lane. And so in this instance, the car right ahead of us, there are 16 cars in the roundabout, and the car right ahead of us, the two little girls, well, not little girls, middle school girls, sisters, they get out. And I said, boys, it's time to see what we're all about here. We've been complaining about this line this whole time. I'm going to pull all the way around and let's see who follow. They immediately start to make fun of me. No one's following you, Dad. Nobody ever follows you. Nobody's following you. You're on an island. Nobody cares about this. So as we start to pull around, every car followed. They all followed. We got a 16-person drop-off. The boys are like, oh, great, Dad, they followed you. I said, leadership, boys. That's leadership. We're raising men here. That's leadership. Big victory for me now at this point. Now we get home. Bootsy and the blonde are there. She goes, I hear a scream. So 1 loss, 1 win. We hear so far in the 12-hour span. Hear a scream. Wow, get in here. I go in the kitchen. There's a goose on the pool cover. There's geese on the pool cover. Well, no, she goes, there's mallards. There's mallards on the pool cover. I said, well, mallards I don't have a problem with. Yeah, let them live. I like a mallard dressed in a little suit. They're always in a good disposition. They calmly get out of the way. They don't hiss at you. I got no problem with mallards. I got no problems. Well, they're not mallards. They're geese. That's what they are. Now, geese, that's very different. This is rats with wings territory now. So she's like, you got to get Buddy to get him. I said, hold on a second.
The murder dog.
18 months ago, he's a murder dog for accidentally killing a bunny that he doesn't even realize, and now he's
me
Cujo?
on that wall.
Get him, boy.
So I go. So clearly there was no way he was going to catch him. There's no way. I said, well, how do you want this to end? Do you want him to kill him? No, I don't want him to kill him. I just want him gone. Well, I said, I think he can handle that. Now, let me just tell you that on a 1 to 10 level of excitement, the 3-year-old golden retriever, Buddy Garrity, is a 75 million. So I'm holding him. So he usually comes out the walkout basement, but I took him upstairs, and so we've got kind of some levels to landscaping. So I took him upstairs outside, and I'm holding him by his chest, and I'm going, you ready, dude? You've been waiting for this, man. We've been training for this for years. This is your opportunity to go prove. And he's just bouncing.
His tail,
bouncing
a million miles. Yeah,
he's just the tail's going nuts, and he's got a little juice to him, and he's going to go, what are we going to do, Dad? I know what I got to do. You unleash me. So, obviously, within 2 bounds, and his first bound is, roughly speaking, 15 yards. That's how far the first bound is. That's how excited he is to try to get at this thing. He makes 1 bound. The goose's head flips on a swivel. Gone. Victory. And then he went out and did his business, and I fed him. So the way that I track this, so then I come back in and I said, look, we want violence out of him when it's convenient for us. Is that where we're at? We want to. That's kind of what we're at. I don't have time for this. Okay. And that's 12 hours.
That's a saga. But yeah, for the dog, you want him in that. You want him on that wall. You need him on that wall. Like that's
his excitement.
Especially with geese.
Wait.
No, you're not trying to mess around with them. You're not trying to be nice to them. You need to establish dominance there, and that's why you have the dog. I mean, that's why they got the dogs in the first place, to hunt and to provide, and that's Buddy Garrity earning his keep.
He just did a great job. a great job. There's a little leftover steak. There's your breakfast.
Right.
Live, brother. Go Live. And he gave me the 2-1 series win over the blonde, too. Because that's a big win.
Right.
Yeah, so I got a 2-1 series lead now.
Anytime you can get somebody to rage quit the conversation with an I don't have time for this, like, okay.
Yeah,
that's concession.
That's right. 2-1 series lead heading into a pivotal game.
Feel pretty confident.
Murder dog when necessary.
God, he was great. Only when it's convenient for you.
This whole conversation, Bo, was just crazy. It's so funny to hear the whole thing, the whole saga from the orange juice into this morning. But this whole thing, you said, well, I think he can handle that when getting rid of the geese.
Yeah.
Because the geese don't want to die. They have wings. This is why it drives me nuts. And I'm not saying tromp on the gas, but this is why it drives me nuts when people just stop and sit there and let these geese take their leisurely time walking across. If you just drive at them slowly, guess what? They don't want to die. They will get out of the way.
It's a fantastic point. They are not handicapped. They have wings. You don't have to stop. They're not pedestrian crossing. Fly away, rodents. Honestly, it was the most shocking thing when I first moved here in 07. It was May of 07 when I moved up from Florida. I could not believe the geese and the way they ran town. I couldn't believe it. Truly. I tell you what, you want to solve it, one dog solves it in no time.
Or 6 coyote cardboard cutouts that tricked me.
It's a good job by the Postal Service.
Very much is. And we're off and running on a Thursday. Bishop and Fred's right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Coffee, sandwich, hash browns. Tired of the same breakfast routine? Time to refresh your morning ritual with a $6 Tim's Trio from Tim Hortons. It starts with a premium blend of freshly brewed coffee, a hot, savory breakfast sandwich made with freshly cracked eggs, and for a tasty twist, a daily baked donut to sweeten the deal. Ask for the $6 Tim's Trio. Your morning ritual refreshed. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants, must ask for offer. Medium coffee only. Terms apply.
Is 2026 the year you achieve your health goals? The Good Feet store wants to help. Trade in your bad feet for good feet. We want to help you walk, run, exercise, and play in comfort this year. Visit the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway near the Polaris Mall or on Stringtown Road at Grove City.
Aaron, I've invented something really important.
Great. Tell me what it is.
You know how water heaters never give the homeowner any sort of signal that they are about to quit working?
Jerry, did you invent a way to solve that problem?
I sure did. I call it the Eco First Responder System.
I like it. How does it work?
Well, when your hot water heater quits working and you have no hot water, just call Eco before 5 p.m. and we guarantee to install your new hot water heater that same day, even if you decide to go tankless.
Jerry, that's been our policy for a long time. What exactly did you invent?
I invented the name, Aaron. The name. The Eco First Responder System. I thought you said you liked it.
Sure, Jerry. It's a great name for a really strong guarantee.
When your water heater quits working, just call Eco before 5 p.m. and we guarantee to install your new hot water heater that same day, even if you decide to go tankless.
You're a great guy, Jerry. I'm really glad you work here.
Get Eco.
ECO. GetEco.com.
For over 78 years, our family's been part of your love stories. At Diamond Seller, we offer bigger diamonds, better prices, and timeless designs for every chapter of your life. From your first yes to your forever I do, trust the jeweler who knows diamonds best. Visit Diamond Seller today.
Remember the old days when football used to have an off-season? Well, we at The Fan think that really sucked. That's why we bring you Austin and Berm, America's #1 resource for Buckeye football conversation, is voted by Fake Surveys Incorporated. Catch their daily podcast called The Beat and their breaking news podcast, Snap Judgments, as they broadcast live from Roosters on Mondays, and they come right to your house and massage your tender areas. They'll do it all. Austin and Berm on The Fan's YouTube channel and 10 TV+.
Hi, I'm Patty, founder of Awesome Tex. I started with a big idea to give old clothes a new life by turning them into recycled fibers and threads. Everyone told me that this was going to be impossible, but Chase for Business believed in me. They gave me a lot of guidance from the beginning.
Get financial guidance from bankers in the Columbus community and convenient digital tools all in one place. Learn more at chaseforbusiness.com. Make more of what's yours. Real customers compensated. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Sometimes tough times are a test, a chance to prove ourselves. Colleen O'Donnell proved her grit in Laredo, Texas, when she served as an immigration judge and faced the worst of the worst: human smugglers, gang members, dangerous people. Colleen ordered them to be deported, never granted asylum once, and enforced the law to the letter. Now, Ohio needs tough leadership on the bench, so Colleen O'Donnell's running for Ohio Supreme Court as a constitutional conservative with 10 years of prior judicial experience. Ohio Right to Life PAC endorses Colleen for her devotion to our conservative values. America's toughest immigration sheriff, Richard Jones, endorses Colleen O'Donnell for her dedication to public safety. And the Ohio leaders we trust support Colleen O'Donnell for her unwavering loyalty to the rule of law and the Ohio State Constitution. The grit to lead, the experience to succeed. Colleen O'Donnell for Ohio Supreme Court.
Paid for by O'Donnell for Ohio.
In the old days when people lived to be 40, you only had one option for listening to your favorite show. But now, ooh, baby, radio, podcast, the Fan app, and YouTube, ooh, just to name a few, live or on demand. You have no excuses. The Fan. Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
A mix of sun and clouds for us today, but it will be a cooler day than what we've been used to with highs in the mid to upper 50s. We could see some stray showers, though, today, so just keep an eye in the sky, otherwise mainly dry across central Ohio. And then for tonight, partly cloudy, overnight lows down into the 40s. For Friday, a chance of showers, otherwise mostly cloudy, with highs in the mid to upper 50s. For the Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 weather impact forecast.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead. Our condolences. Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
I'm not sure if it'll necessarily is the end of an era yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there, and some decisions are going to have to be made. We have been, for the last 20 years, lucky to be able to witness two transcendent talents, one in basketball and one in hockey, both of which are trending towards the realization that Father Time is undefeated. Sidney Crosby and the Pens losing last night in overtime to the Flyers. They are bounced. That is a 4-2 series win. You guys put this in the prep. I saw this last night, too, from John Ewing. Pens playoff history since 19. Lost in the first round, lost qualifying round, lost first round, lost first round, missed playoffs, lost first round. And then he writes, Sidney Crosby is running out of time. I can't believe it's been that long since he's seen the second round. That was shocking to me. It seems like it was more recently. He is 38 years old. He's got 1 year left on a contract at $8.7 million. I feel like he's been making $8.7 million over there for about 15 years. Like, he's never taken what he could have gotten. It's always been that number. I mean, he can sign an extension as early as July 1st. It's not just him. Chris Letang, the 39-year-old, 2 years left at 6.1, and then Evgeny Malkin, his contract is up July 1st and will become an unrestricted free agent. They played 4,000 games together, won 3 cups, 9, 16, and 17. They all want to keep playing together, but the thing for Pittsburgh is, does it even make sense to do so? And for Crosby, does he want one more shot at Lord Stanley? Meantime, and we'll get back to him in a second, the Lakers lose last night to the Rockets 99-93. Austin Reeves did come back in that game. I watched a little of this one last night. It didn't fit. He had a pretty poor shooting game, and Lakers end up losing it at home to the Rockets, and so now that series is a 3-2 Lakers series lead heading to Game 6 in Houston on Friday. LeBron, there are uncertainties as well. Will he play again next season? If so, will it be in Los Angeles or will it be somewhere else? I think we've appreciated both of these guys properly. Both of them have had their criticisms. Early in his career, Sidney Crosby was criticized for being soft, and he flipped that on his own. LeBron was criticized for not getting it done in the postseason early, and then he started winning championships, and all of that kind of went away. And it seems like now, with the benefit of history, we look back incredibly fondly on both of them. Both of them would be in any sort of all-time game that is ever played. And it is the realization that we are running out of time. with both of these guys. And both of them are going to have some decisions to make here this summer. And the organizations are going to have decisions to make this summer. But it hit me last night with the Lakers struggling. They'll probably get by the Rockets. I assume Luka will come back at some point in that series. But even so, they're going to run into a buzzsaw of Oklahoma City, and then it's done for them. At the very least, it appears both of them are done being on contending teams.
Yeah, I'm curious to see exactly what Pittsburgh wants to do. You can't say no to Sidney Crosby, I feel like, but it's kind of the conversation that the Steelers have had. Like, should you? Yeah. Should you tell him no and say we're not going to re-sign Yevgeny Malkin, or we're not going to extend him a new contract? You know, you have Letang for 2 more seasons. Mm-hmm. Both the Steelers and the Penguins will never, I think, go full rebuild. But maybe this incarnation of Pittsburgh hockey should. And for the Lakers, you keep running it as long as LeBron wants to. I think they're kind of in 2 different spots. Because I think for the NBA, for the Lakers, they have an absolute star right now. A guy who can run the league for another 10 years in Luka Doncic. Yeah. Penguins are still trying to figure out what's next after Crosby. And it's to me of maybe pull that Band-Aid off now.
So if you're Pittsburgh, I don't know if you can do that because the fans are going to go crazy. And these 3 guys want to go out together. It sounds like, although it seems like Malkin has less in the tank, and I know Malkin, I believe, is just a year older than Sid. Yeah. Maybe 2, but Malkin was in that 2004 draft with Ovechkin, and they all came into the league at the same time because the NHL was locked out that year. Mm-hmm. So the Crosby was the year after them in 2005, and they all came in together. The Pittsburgh situation is interesting because Crosby can still go, and he doesn't miss games. He doesn't take time off. And Letang, too, for the most part. Once he got through his cancer issues, he has been a guy that's been on the ice. The problem for Pittsburgh is when you have for so long tried to augment your roster to get to a cup, the cupboard is bare. They don't have a ton of prospects. Their prospect pipeline is not what it needs to be. So you still kind of have to be all in or it's full on rebuild. And I just don't know if they can do that, especially with a team that made the playoffs this year. I think it's interesting, Bo. You just read off the last since 2019. Yeah.
Would you have had that?
I believe so. And
would you have? Yeah.
I also don't think it's any coincidence that they let Marc-Andre Fleury go in 2017 to Vegas in the NHL expansion draft. Now, I don't know how you pay all of them like you were, and you eventually had to make some kind of decision, but Fleury went on to go to a final with Vegas that next year and won a Vezina in 2021. They probably should have kept Fleury around with this team a little longer.
Well, the crazy thing, too, and he lost form a little bit toward the end of its Pittsburgh, and then he found it in Vegas in a very, very big way. So they landed Fleury, Malkin, Crosby in consecutive drafts.
And I believe Letang was in there as well.
The next one?
One of the,
was he a first round pick like the others were?
I thought maybe Fleury was a second.
Wasn't Fleury number 1 overall, and then Malkin was number 2, and then Crosby obviously was the lottery, was the Sidney Crosby lottery. I remember that like it was yesterday. I'm sure folks around here do too. But I'm pretty sure it went number 1, number 2, number 1 overall 3 consecutive years.
So Chris Letang, it looks like he's Malkin's age. So in the Crosby draft where they got Crosby number 1, they got Letang 62nd in that draft. Okay, so late in the second round or early third.
A little bit of luck there to get that type of production out of that and have that type of career. Obviously, they are all first ballots. The Sid thing reminds me very much of Kobe. Is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Kobe. Kobe, the Lakers had a decision to make at the end of Kobe, and it was like, okay, we're never going to win anything with him, but do we really want Kobe Bryant at the end of his career to play somewhere else? And their answer to that was no. And so they just let him do what he wanted, and he played on bad teams and took a bunch of shots. This isn't apples to apples because the Pens aren't bad, obviously, but they did surprise this year. Nobody thought that they were going to be – nobody looked at them and thought that they would be a playoff team, I don't think. I remember Jody talking about that with Shelley time. Like, they were a very surprising team. And I think Pittsburgh's kind of in the spot with him, similar to the Lakers, where do you really want to see Sidney Crosby in another jersey? Now, the crazy thing is like, and of course, the best example of this is Lemieux, that he only was a pen. That's it. Now, Gretzky at the end bounced around a lot. Edmonton to L.A. to the Rangers. He played for the Blues. Wayne Gretzky played for the St. Louis Blues at one point. So he bounced around a little bit at the end, but I don't know if Pittsburgh can afford to do that with Sid. So and then the Lakers side of it with LeBron, to me, I feel like for them, he's never going to be as beloved as Magic and Kobe, ever. And I do think that there is a faction of that fan base and probably ownership that kind of wants to just transition all the way to Luka. Now, give LeBron a lot of credit. The second half of the season, he really acquiesced. And they went on a run. He was happy playing third fiddle, and it was Luka and Austin Reeves. But even if you watched a little bit of it last night, and when they tried to get Reeves back in there, it was not clean. So I do wonder if LeBron wants to play somewhere next year, would he play somewhere else, or does he even want to continue with the Lakers? And do they want him? I think it's a little different. I think the Pens would never want to be in a situation where Sidney Crosby plays anywhere else. But I don't even know that. I know to me, and I'm sure you guys agree, LeBron isn't even thought of as a Laker.
No,
even though he's played there a long time.
He won't be remembered as one either. They'll remember they'll remember the stint, but I think for LeBron, you're okay if for Los Angeles and he decides to walk. And I think the only place he'd go is Cleveland. You're really only dealing with two options for LeBron next year if you're playing in the National Basketball Association. And I think the Lakers, to your point, because they're also transitioning new ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for your service. This is Luka's team now. We're going to build around that.
Yeah. Neither one are going to. The one that has that. I've heard some stuff with LeBron about maybe Golden State, taking all the old guys and playing in Golden State with Steph. I don't know. Who knows if there's anything to that. But as currently structured, neither of these guys are anywhere near being contenders.
If the NBA
in their current situations,
if the NBA moved fast, and they'd have to move really fast on expansion, and they said we've got a team in Vegas next year,
right?
And it's been rumored that LeBron was going to be part of the ownership group there.
Yeah.
Could he be the first owner player ever?
Yeah, I'm sure that was probably in the back of his head 4 or 5 years ago. I just don't know you can get an expansion team up and running
probably not
in 6 months. You could probably do it for 2028, but that's 2 more years of playing for him to get there. You mentioned Cleveland in that. The Cavaliers woke up in the fourth. It was dicey. We will get to that. And a massive day for the state of Ohio happening up in Northeast Ohio today. We'll get to all of that in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
From military life to a rewarding career in IT, kickstart your new journey in a matter of months in the fields of IT and cybersecurity, including AI. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including VA benefits.
Hey, it's AR here for Germain Honda of Dublin. If you've been thinking about upgrading your ride, now's the time. It's the Honda Spring event at Germain Honda of Dublin, and they've got seriously low lease rates on the Honda HR-V and Civic for well-qualified buyers. I'm talking reliable, fuel-efficient, and fun to drive without stretching your budget. Stop by Germain Honda of Dublin on Sawmill Road, just south of 270. Check them out online at germainhondaofdublin.com. The Honda Spring event won't last forever.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending, the original home of the no-cost mortgage. If you've been in the market for a new home or just wanted to take advantage of lower rates, recent events have shown exactly why Miller Lending chose to offer a way around bad timing with our no closing cost program. With no fees rolled in or charged, including the cost of title insurance, you can simply close on today's rates and refinance free of charge as rates improve. Over the past several months, we spoke to numerous borrowers who had heard rates were coming down and chose to wait. We explained that if rates did fall, you could simply update a few documents and refinance again, but why take the chance? So when rates spiked a 0.5% recently, not only was I disappointed that we couldn't help those who waited, but also for those buying a home who just saw a sharp increase to their monthly payment. So while we can't control the market, we can offer an alternative. Eliminate timing and say goodbye to closing costs forever. 877-9-NO-COST or simply apply online at nocostmortgage.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender and MLS number 250-2146.
Friday, May 1st, the Columbus Aviators take the field at 8 p.m. and the first 5,000 fans score a Jim Tressel bobblehead. Get your tickets at uflaviators.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
What's up? What's up, man? What's up with you?
Well, here's what's up on a Thursday. Today, up in Brook Park, Ohio, they will break ground on a new NFL stadium for the Cleveland Browns. Huntington Bank Field will have some groundbreaking up there. All sorts of dignitaries. Roger Goodell will be there. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Of course, Browns ownership. All sorts of dignitaries on that one. This goes back to a conversation I remember first having. Oh, gosh. What was the year the Patriots beat the Giants in the Super Bowl in Indy? I would say that's like 13, maybe 12, somewhere in there. Or the Giants beat the Patriots. I'm sorry. The Giants beat the Patriots in Indy. And I was over there covering it for Channel 10. And Jimmy Cordell was playing for the Giants, hooked up with his family. I remember that very, very well. And I remember going over there and we covered it. And I remember coming back, and AR and I were doing the show at the time. And he and I did the conversation. And the conversation was, and this is one of the things that you do in an off-season type conversation, albeit this was in February, obviously. Were we envious of Indy? Columbus and Indy, there's a lot of similarities between the two of them. We're obviously better because we're in Ohio as opposed to blank in Indiana. But the two are very similar. They're both built upon... This town was built initially upon the Capitol, and it was built upon Ohio State. Indianapolis was built upon the Capitol, and then they got the Colts. And when Peyton Manning arrived in town, then they got a beautiful indoor facility. And what that indoor facility allowed for them to do is quite simply everything. And I was covering that Super Bowl in Indianapolis and going, God, could we ever have something like this in town? Could we ever get something like this? And the reality is, no, you can't, because you're not going to build a domed stadium in Columbus. You were never going to do that. And with that domed stadium comes Super Bowls and Final Fours and WrestleManias and all of the things that Big Ten championship games, all of these things. So 4 or 5 years ago, when I guess maybe a little bit more than that, when you first started to hear rumblings of the Browns looking to do something with their stadium situation on the lake, initially I thought, well, you got to put a dome on that thing, and then away we go. Not Columbus, but in the state at least, we will have the opportunity to see things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to see in the state. And there is no reason you couldn't host Big Ten championship games there. There's no reason you couldn't host college football playoff games there. There's no reason you couldn't. And then it got stalled in downtown, and then they moved it out into the suburbs and out to Brook Park. Today, when they put shovels to ground, and they've already dug a hole and there's already a lot of work being done, but today when they do the ceremonial groundbreaking day for that stadium up there, that is the realization of conversations that you've had in this state for a long time about why not us. Because now, albeit it's not in Central Ohio, but it's in the state, you will get Final Fours. You will get WrestleManias. You will get Big Ten championship games. They will be aggressive in bidding for Super Bowls and all of the things that go with it. And whatever you think about how it was done or whatever, and everyone is certainly entitled to their own opinion, or if you're not a fan of it being a dome, if you're a Browns fan, you think the Browns ought to play outside, whatever your opinion may be on that, you and your children, if you have them, are going to now be able to have the hope and I think eventual reality that you're going to have a Final Four in the state of Ohio, that you're going to probably have a Super Bowl in the state of Ohio, that you're going to have an opportunity for Big Ten championship games to be played in your state, college football playoff games in your state, college football national championship games in your state. They do it in Atlanta. Why couldn't they do it there? Folks, this stadium that they're building up there is going to be the greatest. It's going to be the best stadium on the planet. It truly is. It is a kind of a amalgamation of the Rams Stadium and the Vikings Stadium. Rams in that you enter at the high level and you'll walk down into it. And then Vikings in terms of the kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but kind of that greenhouse effect with all the natural light that comes through with that one. It's going to have that. And so certainly I understand folks who are like, man, the Browns ought to play outside. They got to play in the elements. Okay, I've been to those games in the elements, and when it ain't going well, it's half empty and people aren't in the seats. This is going to be climate controlled year round. And I think it's going to open the door for this state to have some groundbreaking, massive events that we've never previously had. So in that sense, it's a very big day for the state of Ohio.
Cleveland's already had the NFL draft. I wonder how aggressive you can be without actually having a stadium built in terms of getting a Super Bowl. Like, when does that process start if it hasn't already? Because I think that's the golden goose, right? Yeah. You're building a brand new stadium. It's big. It's sexy. It's got a dome. You got to get the granddaddy of them all. Now, WrestleMania's a boon because it's over 2 days, and so you can kind of, but I just think that the Super Bowl is what you're looking for. So, like, what would the process of that be?
Great question. They did it in Detroit. They've done it at Indy. So they've done it in the northern markets before. I think they have one. They've done one in Minnesota, too. Since the new stadium, I believe, right? Yeah, because Rothman was there.
Yeah, so the next
AR was there.
The next three,
AR and Maddie were there.
SoFi in 27, Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta in 28, and then Allegiant Stadium's going to host in 2029. So could Cleveland throw out there right now, hey, we want 30?
I'm sure they've already had some talks, right?
Good.
Like those preliminary talks have been had, and I'm guessing today when Goodell is there talking with Jimmy Haslam, they'll kind of revisit those talks again. It's funny, Bo, like you said, this is the official groundbreaking day, but we were up there Sunday, and we stopped to get on a train right around the airport where this is all happening. And the people I was with, they had been up in Cleveland not too long ago, and they were like, oh, these electricity poles are new, and this big pile of dirt here is new. Like, there's already a lot of stuff happening up there and has been happening, even though the official groundbreaking day is today.
Buddy, they got to dig an 80-foot deep hole.
They got to make a big hole. I was just about to say, like, that hole just isn't something you can do over, a couple months with some shovels.
And not only that, there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to get going, too, around there. Because you're not just going to have this big stadium with nothing around it but an airport. They're going to have bars, restaurants, shops. They're going to have all of that stuff, new roads, parking areas. So all that stuff's already in the works and being started and done to this day.
Yeah, I mean, this would be like, you were just up there, Bake. It would be like if you built a new Buckeye Stadium across the street from John Glenn. It's literally right there. It's literally across the street from the airport up there.
Well, you just mentioned the 80-foot hole. That's because they had to lower the stadium because of air traffic control.
Yeah. If you did a list of the things that what are the minimum big event requirements now that this thing's going to get built? You mentioned Super Bowl is the number one draft place.
Yeah, that's the ultimate.
National championship game, college football playoff.
Yeah.
Final Four,
yep. Those would be the ones that come to my mind immediately.
Who's the biggest touring act right now? I know Luke Combs
Taylor Swift.
Would her next tour?
I would think some kind of Premier League match.
Oh,
something
friendly
like that, or a World Cup qualifiers or things like that.
Might not be done in time for no, it won't be done in time for the LA Olympics. I know they're doing stuff in Columbus and in Kansas City, or in Oklahoma City of all places.
Right.
So, no, I think we nailed the three.
Yeah, you want those three things to be there. And I think that you'll get those things. And I do wonder, I remember Gene Smith saying this when he was the AD here about, potentially taking, this is when, remember that whole thing about Ohio Stadium isn't winterized? You remember all this? It wasn't winterized. We're like, we're going to take playoff games to Indianapolis. And they ended up playing one here in the cold against Tennessee, and it was fine. It was more than fine. But I do wonder if, as we try to figure out what the college football playoff is going to look like as they continue to relentlessly chase found money, if there are going to be neutral site but kind of home adjacent games in this thing, because none of us know what this is going to look like. But if there's found money and you can bid on hosting these things, my guess is that they will. And if you're Ohio State, let's play there if it's indoors versus out. How would that land here, do you think?
So I do wonder with the horseshoe being what it is. And this isn't I don't want to have this conversation about the horseshoe, but whenever something has to happen with it, could that be a more palatable thing to take Ohio State to Cleveland, to take Ohio State to Cincinnati, to even take them over to Indianapolis, to make that a traveling road show for home games when the home of the Buckeyes has to have work done to it. Major work that won't allow it to have half the stadium.
Yeah. You're saying, would it be smarter to do like a full stadium close down the way they did at Northwestern and Illinois and just kind of completely renovate it all in like 1 year or two? Hopefully you could do it all in one. Or would you do like what Florida State did, where they basically closed off like 40% of the stadium but still played there? Which is the more palatable thing, I wonder, for Buckeye fan?
So I don't think Buckeye fans are going to enjoy that at all. I think they would be ticked off. And I think they're going to be ticked off if a college football playoff game is played in this new Brown Stadium rather than the Shoe. I personally, I don't ever see a scenario where they do that with the Shoe, where they're like, all right, we're closing it for a year and doing all these renovations. I would think a new stadium would be built at a different site. And
really?
That's what I think would happen.
I think that seems almost, I'll tell you what, you give me a location. We can have a little bit, we can continue this conversation coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Wake up with The Fan. Eat lunch with The Fan. Go to bed with The Fan. Dream about The Fan. Then change your sheets. Gross.
Ew, you guys are gross, but stick around in case I don't find anyone else.
The Fan.
There's an old story about cat toys that's been retold for over 20 years because it perfectly explains who we are. This is Dennis Sullivan, president of Care Heating and Cooling. Years ago, a couple who shared their house with 3 cats had another company out to look at their furnace. After working on it, the technician said it was dangerous and had to be replaced. The couple called Care for a second opinion, and my dad Mike went out to help them. When he inspected the furnace, the cause of the problem became obvious. A cat toy had been stuffed into the heat exchanger. With the toy removed, the furnace ran perfectly. Now, how did the toy get there? You can decide for yourself. But here's what mattered then and still matters now. The first company paid commissions to their service techs to sell new furnaces. At Care, we pay our technicians to fix furnaces, not sell you a new one. And if a new furnace is needed, our team of replacement specialists will advise you on all options available and help you make your best choice. Care Heating and Cooling. Call 1-800-COOLING when you need a company you can trust.
I'm Meredith Garfalo, meteorologist at 10 TV News This Morning, and I'm an Ohio girl. I love golf, aerospace, and all things Ohio sports. For nearly 20 years, I've studied the patterns that shape our days, from winter wonders on the south side to dangerous storms along the I-71 corridor. When the weather changes, you'll be the first to know, because you need a forecast that moves as fast as you do. Make the move to 10 TV News This Morning, weekdays from 5 to 9, anywhere you watch.
Hey there, friends. It's Bo Bishop. If you want to upgrade your summer road trip, you got to see my friends at RCD RV. Their open house sale going on May 2nd through the 9th includes free maintenance seminars, financing incentives, accessory discounts, and more. Plus, shop over 850 RVs from all the top brands. Need more? Buy any in-stock camper and get a $1,000 RCD gift card. Or go motorhome and grab $1,500. The RCD RV open house sale, May 2nd through the 9th. Don't miss it. Visit rcdrv.com and start planning your adventure now.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Now is the time to call Comer & Cross and transform your garage with a gleaming new Comer & Cross garage floor. Maybe your garage floor has exposed concrete with stains and cracks or a bad epoxy or paint job. Well, a new Comer & Cross garage floor will transform your entire garage in just one day. Now, here's the great part of this whole story. If you call them right now, they're going to take 50% off installation. Yeah, that's right, 50% off installation from Comer & Cross when you call them today at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. A Comer & Cross garage floor is the gold standard, guaranteed to never chip, crack, or show tire lift like epoxy or paint ever. Plus, they make it easy. They'll take your stuff out of the garage for you. They'll fix your cracks and pits perfectly like it's a new garage floor, and then they'll apply the proprietary finish that you pick. Yeah, I said it. They'll fix your cracks and pits. What's wrong with that? That's what you want. So call them today at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR to get 50% off installation. That's 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. Or go to comercross.com.
Join our resident gambling degenerates, Dave Biddle and Scotty Vegas for On the Money. Sunday mornings at 9.
Presented by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
The Fan.
Thinking about buying your first home? Now, with Third Federal, you can buy your first home and pay no PMI. Hi, I'm Mark Stefanski, Chairman and CEO of Third Federal. Private mortgage insurance, or PMI, can cost thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. And you may not realize PMI doesn't protect you. it only protects the lender in case of default. But at Third Federal, you can buy a home with just 5% down and no PMI. Plus, first-time home buyers get $750 off a closing cost. So if you're thinking about buying your first home, go for it and visit thirdfederal.com.
Even before you find a home, lock in 5.99% APR, 6.02% on a 30-year fixed-rate purchase mortgage. Visit thirdfederal.com or call 1-800-3rd-FED today. APR reflects 15% down for $350,000 loan amount. Rate requires automatic payment program and is subject to change. Restrictions apply. See conditions for closing cost coupon at thirdfederal.com/FTHB. Equal housing lender. All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Pull up a stool and ask the bartender for something neat, because Uncle Bo is on the radio. This is Bishop and Friends.
It's your Uncle Bo here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to do something we've all thought about at one point. It's time to upgrade your road trip, and the good folks at RCD RV, they're having an open house. It's this weekend. It starts May 2nd through the 9th. You can shop 850-plus RVs, all from trusted brands. Plus, they'll have free maintenance seminars, financing incentives, and more. And when you buy any in-stock camper, they're going to give you $1,000 in RCD gift card, and if you buy a motorhome, $1,500 coming your way. There are no limits in the RV life. It's just you, the family, and the freedom to go anywhere. No crowds, no renting a car, no airports. That feels like a big win to me. Get to RCD RV's open house sale. It's May 2nd through the 9th, and start planning your adventure today. You had mentioned, it's interesting when you think about it, because if you say to yourself, at some point we know, you almost have a minor sports panic attack when you think about, at some point we have to do something substantial with the shoe. At some point. And it feels like that some point is getting pretty close. We talked about this when I got back from North Florida and saw what FSU had done and what they had done to their stadium, and I thought, well, we don't have anything like that. There's nothing here like that at Ohio Stadium. I know Ross is trying, and place to eat, and they're trying to fix things the best they can. I think the NetJet stuff all works, but at some point, you're going to need a massive modernization of the shoe. So what does that look like? Is that build a new stadium? Or is that take a century-old stadium and make it as modern as you can in the middle of it? I don't have a clear answer for it. Beck, you seem to think that they build something else somewhere else and play in the shoe, but you can't demolish it at its historical site, so it'll be there forever.
So I have always thought this, Bo, and maybe this area isn't big enough.
Yeah.
But you already own the land. I would demolish St. John's and the ice rink, because they already wanted to build a new ice rink anyway, and build something new. I would make it like the shoe on steroids, basically. Same design, but all modernized, bigger, better, all of those things. And I would do it right there. And then you could have the whole area around the shoe for parking still, and it would be close. And
I don't think there's enough space, buddy. I don't think there's enough space there without first taking down the original structure. I don't think it's big enough. The only thing I could think of if you tried to do something like that was across 315 north of Lane.
Yeah, but then you're getting pretty far away from campus.
I know. I'm aware. But there's no real... I mean, Reese, this is your wheelhouse. This is your neighborhoods. I mean, where there's no place, is there?
There's farm and wetlands, but those are also protected. And OSU's ag school wants to keep that. So I really think your only path forward for this, in my opinion, is you figure out a way to work around the historic marker for Ohio Stadium. You bring it down for a year. You move the team around the state. Cleveland, once that new stadium opens, Cincinnati, whatever the hell they want to do down there, maybe a game or two. Indianapolis, you try.
You could. What about Crew, Reese?
Maybe at Lower.com Field.
Yeah,
but you make it so that it's just a year, and you don't worry about having to do this in phases. My biggest fear is that Ohio State's going to be playing home games with half of the shoe looking like a dirt pile. and then fans already having to navigate around construction zones. Like, try to do this in 1 year, take the team on the road, keep the same plot, keep the same spot, but a major, major upgrade for that building.
I just wonder I think your plan is the one that is to me most doable. I just don't even know where you begin. Like, don't you almost, when you put yourself in Bjork's shoes? Okay, so first of all, you got to fundraise it. How are you going to fundraise $1 billion? You know what I mean? Like, you build a new structure, it's going to be 4.
Same thing how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time.
I guess.
Eventually, though, where are you throwing good money over bad?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think it's one of the most. I know it's on Ross's mind. I know it's on the board's mind. Like, at some point, there needs to be a massive improvement of the place. It's the great line from John Cooper, former Buckeye coach. The blonde and I were looking at houses. And we were really close to buying an old house in Arlington. And Coop had a great line to me. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You buy an old house, you're buying an old house. And the reality, what he meant by that was, yeah, you can fix it up all you want, but it's still old wiring. It's still old foundation. It's still old, all of those things. So if you're going to go into the shoe and try to, you're never going to, and I don't think the requirement here, and I can just tell you because I saw it at Florida State, the requirement here isn't to build something that competes with what the Browns are building. You don't need that. It doesn't need to be a structure that can host everything on the planet. But we have reached the point, I think, where just the minimum luxuries are missing. The necessities, are missing. It's pretty crazy that, the south stands don't connect to everywhere else. It's pretty crazy that there's not more seat backs in that place. It's nuts that B-Deck still exists in the way that it does. That whole part isn't, that they haven't luxury boxed that sucker out the way that they did on the other side. There's all these things that are just kind of easy. The bathroom situation is a mess. I mean, there's 1,000 things. I don't even know. If you're Ross, I don't know where you start and where do you stop.
And just as you were saying all that, Bo, with all of that stuff, I feel like, especially even if you do it in phases, it's just going to be cheaper to build new.
It won't be big.
Update that thing all the way,
A new one's going to be $3 billion. I mean, it's going to be.
Yeah, that's just that's cost.
It's going to be.
But eventually, when you do everything you want to do to the shoe and have to keep doing it, it's going to be more in the long run.
I don't know if it'll be more in the long run. It's going to be a lot. The Florida State thing, I couldn't get a straight answer in terms of how much what all they did was, but the thinking was it was around $500 million. But it was also a football facility and that. It was kind of a dual fundraise thing. But the thing to remember, and this is why it's a little bit apples and avocados, Florida State's stadium, like Doak Campbell Stadium, was built in the 90s. Not the 1890s. Through the late 80s and early 90s. 1900s. We're talking about something that was built in the 20s. It's a hell of a thing.
I mean, Nationwide Arena was built in the late 90s for a 2000 start, and we're already talking about renovating that. They're going to start doing that. They probably have already started the work since the season's over.
Yeah, you're probably right. It is a very, very complicated spot. And I do think at the very least, if you're going to go this way, this would allow you, if you did the Browns, the new Browns stadium is hey, we can park 4 Buckeye games here. We can give 2 to Cincinnati and do it on the year where you have 7 home games and play 1 at lower.com. Okay, fine. You could make that work for a year while you tried to renovate. To me, the idea of building a brand new horseshoe, I don't even know where you would begin on the funding for that. I don't know how you would even do that.
I don't see the lower.com, or what is it now? I heard somebody call it
Scott's Miracle Grow Field.
Call it Fertilizer Field last night.
My fault,
That's pretty good.
I don't, because it sits, 20? Ohio State's not, especially in this era of making as much money possible.
Probably true.
They're not doing that.
But for a year.
No, they're not doing that even for a game. They will definitely go to Cleveland or Cincinnati or wherever so they can get the ticket revenue. They're not giving up 80,000 seats when they need all the money they can.
Even in Cleveland or Cincinnati, you'd be in the 60s. You're going to lose 40,000 seats.
Still, but you're not losing 80.
You're not losing 80. Yeah. It's a complicated conversation, to say the least. We'll open up the mailbag coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
All the Ohio State conversation you can handle. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Your Ohio State flagship station. The Fan.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Tired of snoring? Sleep Better Columbus can help with a custom mouthpiece that opens your airway and stops the snoring. No mask, no noise. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com today. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I talk to you about Weed Man every year. Why? Simple. Number one, I use it. Number two, it works. You want to get those lawn roots thick, baby, because when that happens, they resist weeds, disease, and insects, and they're using top-of-the-line stuff. We're talking golf course quality. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will take care of you. Proudly serving Central Ohio and our Dayton friends. Call your local office, 614-733-3747, weedman.com.
Coffee, sandwich, hash browns. Tired of the same breakfast routine? Time to refresh your morning ritual with a $6 Tim's Trio from Tim Hortons. It starts with a premium blend of freshly brewed coffee, a hot, savory breakfast sandwich made with freshly cracked eggs, and for a tasty twist, a daily baked donut to sweeten the deal. Ask for the $6 Tim's Trio. Your morning ritual refreshed. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants, must ask for offer. Medium coffee only. Terms apply.
Relax and let Kroger Delivery handle your grocery shopping this week. We start with only the freshest items, then carefully pack your order in our refrigerated trucks. And our cool trucks keep your food fresh right to your door. Fresh groceries your way with Kroger Delivery. Get free delivery during online deal days, plus $30 off your first online order. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
I'm Jeff Hogan. I've been a journalist at 10 TV for more than 20 years. I moved back to Columbus with my beautiful wife and our two amazing daughters and our golden retriever, Harley. This community brought me back because this is where I feel connected. Where my daughters were born, this is my home. And that is to say, I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. What happens here affects us all. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it doesn't sit still, it moves. It moves you to act, to verify, to volunteer, to speak up or lend a hand. It moves your mind by challenging assumptions and offering new perspectives. It moves you forward by giving you the information to make decisions and thrive where you live. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at 10 TV, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Central Ohio.
Performance matters in intimate moments. Don't let ED ruin them. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and I want to assure you that if you're like the vast majority of guys, you don't have to suffer with ED anymore. In fact, you might be pleasantly surprised at how the right treatments could positively impact your love life. At Tri-State Men's Health, our advanced medical therapies go far beyond pills. We have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, and we offer specific and combinative treatments that can dramatically enhance both your performance and your stamina. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a far greater level of intimacy to both you and the one you love, perhaps performing like you haven't in years. So call us today and find out why our advanced treatment strategies offer so much more. Your first visit is just $99 and gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. Tri-State Men's Health, advanced medical science to improve men's lives.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. After suffering an injury, you may face many hard questions. What will tomorrow bring? Which firm should I choose to represent me and my family? At Morgan & Morgan, we will hold your hand every step of the way. From our one-click sign-up, mobile apps, and 24/7 availability, we make it easy to get your case started right from the comfort of your couch. All firms are not the same. The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law.
Morgan & Morgan, Ohio office located at 600 Vine Street, Cincinnati. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications the top employers are looking for right now.
Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Hey, it's T-Bone again. Sleep apnea doesn't have to rule your nights. Sleep Better Columbus has been treating snoring and sleep apnea for over 15 years with proven results and now has an office open in Marysville. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or go to sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios, driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Cavaliers regained control of their first-round playoff series. Evan Mobley and James Harden scored 23, and Dennis Schroeder had 11 of his 19 in the fourth quarter to propel Cleveland over Toronto 125-120 last night in Game 5 of their best-of-7. Cavs lead 3-2. Raptors are going to host Game 6 on Friday. Game 7 would be Sunday in Cleveland if necessary. Also in the association Wednesday, the Rockets beat LeBron and the Lakers 99-93 in Game 5 of their first-round series. Houston still trails 3-2, but they'll host Game 5 Friday. In baseball, the rubber match between the Reds and Rockies is today at 12:40 in Cincinnati. Colorado won Game 2 last night 13-2. You can hear Reds baseball over on the Fan, too. That's 1460 on the AM dial. Redlegs still have a half-game lead on the Cubs for first place in the NL Central. Same lead the Guardians have over the Tigers in the AL Central. Cleveland beat Tampa 3-1 yesterday. They'll play at Sacramento on Friday. This update sponsored by RCDRV Super Center in Heath, Delaware, and Pataskala, or at rcdrv.com.
Keep your friends close and your producers closer. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, second hour here on a Thursday edition of the program. Paul Finebaum coming up in 28 minutes from now. Time to open up that mailbag. Hit it, fellas.
Our comment box is always open. Any feedback is mostly appreciated.
The mail never stops. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. There's never a let-up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more. And you got to get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in. Again.
Bishop and Friends present emails.
And, of course, you can email us at 971BFS@gmail. Great job out of all of you. Let's start with this one from Steve. Subject matter, follow up to the 429 show. Bo and the Boys, another great show. Listen every day. A couple of thoughts in hopes of adding to the conversation. As a 60-year-old resident of Central Ohio, Bexley, Pickerington, now UA, I always considered the black and highlighter yellow of the crew to be an expressive of somewhat rebellious counterculture vibe of this new team, which for a long time only had a niche following. We are case in point. Saw 2 matches at the old Crew Stadium, have been season ticket holders at the new Crew Stadium since match 1 in what we are affectionately calling the Watchman Box. First 4 seats inside southwest corner, 2 over 2 on the aisle next to the handicap row, so no disruptions. And specific shade of yellow is a good differentiator from Pitt's puke for this lifelong Browns fan. Doesn't hurt that we are Golden Bears also. As for the name Crew, I've lived through the construction of the interstate system and all that followed. Crew is very appropriate for Columbus. He could be onto that a little bit. I don't know that anything that I've been around in sports has changed more for the better than the Columbus Crew. Because I do think he's right. Because when I first got here, and that was Scalotto and all of those guys, and they won a cup, but it was very niche in terms of the people who went. It was a club. Brother Bone can talk about this. He does all the time. There was a fragment of folks who loved it, and I think that there was a big miss from Anthony Precourt in really underestimating how powerful their voices would become. And then what that counterculture niche fan base became was kind of like a shot at the city. You're not taking something from us. And then the city and then everybody got behind it. And now you think about them playing at, is it Scotts Miracle-Gro Field? You think about now that stadium and that experience, and as much love as you have for being the first soccer-specific stadium in America, to now go to that thing and what they've been, it's as big as improvement a sports franchise has had no matter where I've lived in my life. So you might be onto something.
Yeah, I wonder because the Golden Bear thing is correct. They're the ultimate black and gold. Everybody else is an imitator. I guess I don't hate it as much. The Crew's valid because construction all the time, forever.
Yeah. You would never name a team that now, though.
No, but you wouldn't. The Brown. I mean, you could have that conversation for all of the teams that we cheer for.
Yeah, they're all pretty
except
weird.
for the Buckeyes. Everybody's name is strange.
Reese, even Buckeyes is kind of crazy.
Considering the state.
It's a poisonous nut.
Well,
I mean, like it is.
Danger.
You know. Yeah, I mean,
it's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
But being the Buckeye state since its inception.
Yeah.
That I
for
get.
sure. Yeah. But like, even like the Bengals and the old Indians, okay, like there was something there to, okay, this is who we are. The rest of them are pretty crazy when you think about it.
Reese, I understand the Golden Bears, and I'm okay with that, the colors, because it's high school. But at the pro level, I can never get behind black and gold in this city. I just can't do it.
Yeah. This from the great Snags. You guys were talking about Crew Unistay and the choice of colors. Bake mentioned that he remembered hating the yellow because of Michigan. That triggered memories of that being a talking point on the news as a kid. Then it made me think, what have you always said about the most beautiful uniforms in sports? The Raiders. Maybe plant some seeds to phase out the yellow and replace it with silver or gray. You could make a construction worker look like a pirate. Just give him a black eye and a Marlboro. Side note, when the Crew tried to make a uniform logo change a few years ago, everyone freaked out. I was tweeting folks the following. For some people use FC for football club. Some use SC for soccer club. Crew Genius's Genesis was 96. Ergo, I deduced something should make a shirt that says, let's go SC 69. Pretty good job out of him.
I don't remember saying yellow for Michigan.
No, you said that's one of those selective memories because you said blue for Blue Jackets. You said that was the problem with the Blue Jackets, or maybe you did, Reese.
Or in the Aviators. We were talking about the Aviators and not leaning into the scarlet and gray.
One of you mentioned that the Blue Jackets in navy blue was a problem when they launched.
I
can't remember which
lamented since the Blue Jackets launching as a kid growing up, going to the fairgrounds and watching the Columbus Chill, how great silver and black
Seems
looked.
so easy.
And all you had to do was just transfer that over. So the Columbus Chill, founded in 1991. I wonder, again, we'd have to go back into go back in the past and maybe talk to the Crew about, hey, take that color scheme too. And you have the professional teams locally just go silver and black if they're not going to do scarlet and gray.
I remember when the Haslam Sports Group first bought the Crew. There was a guy up there. He's not with the operation anymore, who was trying to think of a way to do it differently, and to do like the branding differently. But it was almost like because they saved the Crew, there was no touching it.
Oh yeah, you couldn't. You can't now.
You just couldn't. Yeah.
We do need to talk to the NHL though at some point, and when they do these throwback jerseys, we do need to incorporate, I believe, the Columbus Chill. Merge the Chill and the Blue Jackets jerseys somehow in this color scheme and some Chill logos into something for one of the retro sweaters for the Jackets.
That's a great idea. I just wonder if you would have, I wonder who owns that name and the copyright and all that comes with it.
Just, if you own that copyright, I'm sure you're going to get paid handsomely, but do it because it would give more credence to your brand.
Yeah, I actually think the Blue Jackets alternate uniform, I'd love to see it in white. To me, that if they would have launched with those right away, then there's no ambiguity about who you are.
Yeah, those in the normal colors, I've been saying that for a few years.
Yeah, like just those alternate uniforms, just do a navy blue one, which they have, which I love, and then just do a white one, and then there's no ambiguity in terms of what the Blue Jackets are. Then it's abundantly known what they are. All right, this one from Dale. Really like my show. Questions about rookie mini camps like the Browns have next week. I think it's fair to say none of the guys have a contract agreed to yet. That being said, what happens if one of them gets hurt and say it's a season or career-ending injury? They don't have a contract. Is the club under any obligation to pay them anyway? I mean, some contracts have guaranteed money. Some have none. Do they get monies pre-contract to live on? Is it in payment for camp or deducted from their contract when they're completed? Do they get housing like hotel paid for by the team? Do they get rental car paid for? They just got to Cleveland. I doubt any of them have a car, house, or apartment yet. Do they get food or incidental daily allowances? If so, they do need an expense voucher. Dale, very good question. I don't know I'm sure that there's an insurance for injury that the NFL has, provided there's any injury for all of it. Everything else, I can just tell you how Cleveland does it. They put them up in a hotel every single meal is provided at the facility. Transportation is provided at the facility, all of those things. And it's basically an up at dawn. You're at the facility all day, then you go to a hotel to sleep, is the way that it works. And my assumption would be that there is some sort of insurance provided there's some sort of injury that could happen there. Pat writes, Will Howard. Why don't you guys ever discuss Will Howard when talking about Pittsburgh?
Who's that? We've never mentioned him on the show. You're right.
Pat, didn't yesterday we
never have
a poll?
I can't remember if we ever
Will
had
Howard or Drew Aller? Didn't we say
Steelers conversation that has not included Will Howard?
I'm guessing he's saying that we never talk about Will being the starter, really. Like, I don't know if any of us believe the Steelers want to go into the year with Will Howard as the starter.
Aren't they about to?
And they might
Feels like it.
but I think that's probably what he's talking about, because we've always all just assumed Rodgers was coming back.
That's fair. Yeah.
I've said it on this show that I believe Will is a career backup, and I would guess that's what he's trying to get at.
That could be. To be fair, I guess we do only speak of the Rodgers thing. By the way, I think we now know, did you guys see this yesterday, why the Steelers did what they did? Did you see the story out of Denver?
No.
That Bo Nix had a second surgery.
Yeah, Nix is not.
And he might not be ready for camp. So my hunch is that is why the Steelers put that condition on Rodgers, that if he signs somewhere else, they can match it. That's my hunch.
And then
because
wouldn't
they
it
got
be
wind of it.
After July 22nd, Denver would have to send Pittsburgh assets.
Yep.
Good move
we
by
mentioned
Pittsburgh.
them. You guys remember that? We mentioned them as a possible landing spot. Like, do they love Knicks? Well, turns out maybe they do, but there's some injury stuff that's pretty real there. This one from Ulysses. There's not even an email here. I just think it's amazing. The guy's name is Ulysses. That's a spectacular name. Unfortunately, the Bengals passed up the opportunity to draft Caden Curry late. Oh, I'm sure would have had an impact wherever he goes. I guess we'll see. But I like your name, Ulysses. Good job out of you. All right, coming up next, who's the most successful coach in the history of Ohio State athletics? A question from the mailbag we will get to coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Every year, tens of thousands in Central Ohio choose Columbus State Community College to start what's next. They're earning degrees that open doors to in-demand jobs, stable careers, and real earning power. They're bridging the gap to an affordable university bachelor's degree, avoiding the trap of student loan debt, and moving their lives and our community forward. Columbus State is making Central Ohio stronger. Apply today at cscc.edu.
The Reds are on the radio.
Swung on, crushed, high, deep, left field. There it goes. A 3-run go-ahead blast for Eugenio Suarez. They're waving around Friedel. Up throwing Anthony. Throw to the plate, not in time. And the Reds walk it off at 11, 6-5.
The quest for October baseball is underway. Hear all the action all season long on your home of the Reds.
Is 2026 the year you achieve your health goals? The Good Feet store wants to help. Trade in your bad feet for good feet. We want to help you walk, run, exercise, and play in comfort this year. Visit the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway near the Polaris Mall or on Stringtown Road in Grove City.
At Metal Supermarkets, we're all about getting you and your crew to quit in time sooner. That's why our service is a cut above. You see, no matter the project, we'll get you to the right metal, shape, and grade. Cut to any size, ready real fast. And yeah, we'll deliver, leaving plenty of time for the important things, like opening an ice-cold can of aluminum. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience store for metal.
This is Gordon Miller for Miller Lending, the original home of the no-cost mortgage. If you've been in the market for a new home or just wanted to take advantage of lower rates, recent events have shown exactly why Miller Lending chose to offer a way around bad timing with our no-closing cost program. With no fees rolled in or charged, including the cost of title insurance, you can simply close on today's rates and refinance free of charge as rates improve. Over the past several months, we spoke to numerous borrowers who had heard rates were coming down and chose to wait. We explained that if rates did fall, you could simply update a few documents and refinance again, but why take the chance? So when rates spiked 0.5% recently, not only was I disappointed that we couldn't help those who waited, but also for those buying a home who just saw a sharp increase to their monthly payment. So while we can't control the market, we can offer an alternative. Eliminate timing and say goodbye to closing costs forever. 877-9-NO-COST or simply apply online at nocostmortgage.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender and MLS number 250-2146.
Your favorite fan shows are available as a podcast. What a concept! And don't miss exclusive podcast content like Austin and Byrne. Listen on your schedule from anywhere in the world. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Austin Ward. Listen to The Beat with Austin and Byrne, now powered by the Waterworks and Header Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Get the latest Buckeye news, insights, and unbeatable analysis every day. Don't miss a moment. Stream The Beat with Austin and Byrne, sponsored by the Waterworks and Header Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Who's Vice President J.D. Vance's pick for Ohio Treasurer? America First conservative Jay Edwards. As the first state lawmaker to endorse Donald Trump for president, Jay Edwards has been on the front lines, standing up to the rhinos and leftists since day one. Now, we need a MAGA fighter who protects our Ohio tax dollars as our treasurer. And that's what Jay Edwards has always done. He sponsored the largest tax cut in Ohio history, saving families over $3.1 billion. Jay Edwards has never been afraid to do what's right and fight for our values. That's why he's a 100% pro-life and 100% pro-gun conservative, earning the highest possible rating from Ohio gun owners. He's the proven America First leader we need to clean up fraud and keep our money safe. Endorsed by J.D. Vance. Jay Edwards for Ohio Treasurer.
Paid for by Friends of Jay Edwards.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
A mix of sun and clouds for us today, but it will be a cooler day than what we've been used to with highs in the mid to upper 50s. We could see some stray showers though today, so just keep an eye in the sky, otherwise mainly dry across central Ohio. And then for tonight, partly cloudy, overnight lows down into the 40s. For Friday, a chance of showers, otherwise mostly cloudy with highs in the mid to upper 50s. For the Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 weather impact forecast.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination. They've all been paid by the Cleveland Browns. This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is. We're proudly brought to you and sponsored by our great friends at Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for nearly 8 decades. Back to the mailbag we go. This one from Gary, who writes, I like the framing on this, Gary. This is like how I handle things with my children. Who's the most successful coach in the history of Ohio State athletics? ? And then he lays out his claim for the answer to that, and he might be right. I'll make the claim for men's tennis coach Ty Tucker. Holds the all-time NCAA record for most consecutive home wins at 200. Holds the all-time NCAA record for most consecutive conference championships by a single head coach. Just won his 20th straight Big Ten title. Active streak of 19 consecutive NCAA Sweet 16 appearances. 3 national championships. 359-5 over the last 20 seasons at home. 109-1 at home in Big Ten regular season matches. Ty Tucker's the only coach in Ohio State history of a building named after him while he was still coaching. Might be. Pretty compelling case.
Yeah, I wrote him down. Nadine Muserol, women's hockey coach. Sure. Woody, whoever coaches Ohio State's pistol team.
Yeah, they're good. They're very good.
Maybe Urban?
It's so tough because Ohio State has so many sports that nobody pays attention to. And when I say nobody, I mean relatively to the masses. Ohio State's fencing program is really good. You mentioned their shooting teams. Ohio State's rowing programs are good. When I think of all-time coaches, I think of Pete Hansen, who was the men's volleyball coach, I believe, from like 85 to 2019 and won 4 national championships and had another runner-up or 2. So it's so hard to really pay attention to all of them and know, because most of us just pay attention to football, men's and women's basketball for the most part, but it's hard to argue against Ty Tucker and those numbers there.
Yeah. It's interesting in the history of sports, when you think of like coaches at spots in what you would consider like niche sports, like Dan Gable at Iowa, like at wrestling, what Cale Sanderson's doing at Penn State now in wrestling. There was a North Carolina women's soccer coach. I think his name was Anson Dorrance or something like that. They won the national championship like every year. So there's all of these things of just these dominant runs that happen. And, yeah, Ty's has been incredible.
Bo, by the way, tell me Big Brother isn't listening. I just refreshed the Twitter, and the first thing that pops up, Bucks Insider. Ohio State tennis team begins NCAA tournament in Columbus. Learn more.
Holy smokes.
They're always listening.
Always, brother. This one from John. Best commercial. You guys have some good honorable mentions on the Bud Light commercials, but this is hand down the best commercial of all time. Game over, and holy crap, a Passat was only $20K 15 years ago. It's the Volkswagen ad where the little kid is dressed as Vader.
I don't remember this.
You remember that one?
I do. It was cute.
It's pretty good. It's a good one. I had forgotten about it.
But it's not Budweiser Frogs or Clydesdales or the Wazza.
Yeah, probably
it's not on
as
that
iconic.
level.
No. This one from Chris. So, Bo and the boys. Last week, I wrote about zipper merges and hat backwards guy. And the moment I was rereading what I said, I immediately thought, well, Ken Griffey Jr. wore a nice hat backwards, so perhaps I'm being too harsh. Only to have Bake bring that thought to realization in his first response to my email. You guys may have changed my perspective on the hat backwards guy. I think there may be a place and a time to wear a hat backwards, as there may be a great place and a time to wear an unbuttoned suit and no tie, but it's not for everyone. It's not for every place. I still stand firm that zipper merge violators should probably receive 1,000 paper cuts per violation.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. Hat backwards or forward, I can't take Reese seriously. He's coming for you here, Reese, until he can outrun me in the 97.1 The Fan, the race, which he did not last year. But it was a great experience, and I got the chance to chat with him and his huge calves for a moment, which made the drive worthwhile. He's from your hometown of Bainbridge.
Well, that's not my hometown.
It's your grandpa's, right?
That's my uncle lived there the whole time he was alive while I was growing up. Remember, he had to mow his roof, Bo.
It's the roof mow. That's right, yeah. Reese, you recall this? He also says that you had to give CPR to Adam King.
Who almost died of heat stroke. Yeah.
Because he was in his suit?
He insisted on wearing a suit. And I passed him sitting under a tree, just very red. And he had taken the suit coat off maybe 10 minutes into the thing. And I went to the water station up ahead, and then I jogged back to give him that.
You're a good citizen.
I just hope that he doesn't do the same this year. But yeah, I'm not a fast runner.
I don't think he's coming for you that personally. This is the part another part that's interesting in the email. I have a thought experiment to run by you. For several years after Little League Baseball until school started, my mom would take me to Kentucky to stay with my grandfather. It's a culture shock and forced me to do things I'd never done. I was unaccompanied, dropped off with this World War II vet on a farm in the middle of Kentucky. To forego the stories, have you ever considered just sending your boys to stay with your father for 3 weeks and let them all just figure it out? It might be a growth process for all involved and absolutely would win July radio. Nothing would be better than Bootsy coming back home from Montana and eating the dog's peanut butter. Oh, my God.
Who would have the hardest time adjusting? Because you and your brothers, his kids have been out of the house for how long?
My dad or the kids who would have the hard. My dad would adjust none. Nothing would change for him. He would go about life. They figure it out would be his answer to everything. It's no big deal. They would have to. They would probably have to cook their own meals. I think that would be in play. I don't even know, like, the day-to-day, how insane that would be. Now, it would be pretty damn funny, especially if I filmed it, if I, secretly had a film crew film it, and then we aired it on 10 TV Plus. I think that's a home run, just to see their reactions to all of the absurd things. My hunch is Bootsy would love it the most because he's too young to say no to things that, to him, would all seem cool, whether it be riding horse or going to do chores or getting the eggs or checking cows or any of that type of stuff. He would think is just the coolest. I think NBC, to me, I think Beamsy would have a real struggle. I feel like that would not be something he would be a fan of.
When you were reading that part of the email, I couldn't help but think of Talladega Nights when when Will Ferrell has to move back in with his mom, and you're going to break us like wild horses, aren't you, Grandma?
I remember thinking, my mom, when she was alive, and the only one of our boys who was born before she passed is NBC, and he was only a year when she passed, so it's not like he has memories of her. There's some videos and stuff that pass for memories, but he doesn't have any recollection of it. But before she got sick, I remember thinking, like, we would absolutely do that. Like, Aim and I would talk about that. Like, we'll go on a West vacation, drop them off for like a week at my parents' house, and let them have a week, under the big sky. And then when that happened, then my father, God bless him, love him, but then he was exposed for just how much my mom covered up. And it was a lot, as it turns out. And maybe we didn't appreciate, I feel like I did, but maybe we didn't fully appreciate everything Mom was doing at the highest level. What is the most fish out of water you've ever been in your life?
Nothing on that level. I lived in New York for a year.
Oh, I didn't know
after
that.
college, and so that was a big change from having spent 4 in Athens.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden in New York City.
Well, that's pretty big. From Arlington to Athens to Manhattan is a pretty big...
Yeah, that's a jump.
That's a lot going on.
I don't know if it was fish out of water, but I think it was the summer between kindergarten and first grade. So I was 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather broke his ankle and was having trouble getting around, so I got to stay with him for a couple weeks and take care of him. As far as, like get the food and all of that stuff, and it probably wasn't more than like making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or
How
whatnot,
old were you?
But it was like 6 or 7.
You're making peanut butter sandwiches at 6 and 7 and being a butler?
Yeah.
You're far more capable than my kids are.
Different times, Bo.
They can't even unpack their book bags.
Or plug their phones in without being told.
She was hot when she got home from drop-off, too. Hot about that not being done. So much so, phones are now grounded. They're grounded from phones. We're at 0 tolerance, DEFCON 1. Okay, all right. Last one from Mitchell. Buddy, I'll see. He questions. He wanted to know if we would be interested in having Joe Thomas on. Well, yeah, of course. I'd love to have the Hoff on. Have him on. His Hall of Fame beef. Love it. And I'll see the Hoff today. So we'll see if we can get that locked in and get the Hoff on to talk about what he's doing on that side of things. So spectacular job out of all of you. Very, very good job. I don't even know. Like, my hunch is my kids coming back from Montana. Like, I don't know that they would ever love me more than having spent 3 weeks with my father. I really don't
Give
know.
them a definite change of perspective. But if your dad's just going to go business as usual, you have the great question of, would they come back at all?
This is a guy who's like, he'll saddle horses, and like when the kids were little, he'd like, I'm going to take them down there, and we'll get the horses saddled up, and he'll take them down there. And the kids are just walking behind horses. I'm like, Dad, they don't know that you can't do that. You understand? Like one kick and it's done, lights out permanently. They don't understand that. Well, you kids could all do it. Well, we grew up here. We understood. These kids are not raised here. They have no clue about any of these things. Paul Finebomb at 2 Minutes, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
As the seasons change, it's time to prep your HVAC system with a $49 seasonal tune-up from Columbus Worthington Air. A seasonal tune-up can help save money on your energy bill and help prevent expensive breakdowns. As your local home service experts, everything we do is backed by our exceptional service guarantee. It all adds up to dependable service from neighbors you trust. Columbus Worthington Air and Bryant Heating and Cooling. Whatever it takes. Visit cwaohio.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions. License number 47543.
I love Right Pack Credit Union because they're solution driven. I feel valued as a member.
They're focused on the latest technology and the personal connections.
Experience benefits that go beyond banking with Right Pack Credit Union. Just ask our actual members.
I definitely recommend Right Pack to all my family and friends as a credit union of choice.
Visit one of our Columbus area Right Pack Credit Union member centers near you. Based on individual members' experiences, results may vary.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing a lawyer, but getting some guy who just watches courtroom dramas.
How does the defendant plead?
Guilty. Wait, what? Also, objection.
You object to what?
Erroneous.
Counsel, approach the bench.
Hey, can I get a whack at the gavel?
You wouldn't settle for just any lawyer, so don't settle for just any insurance. Get the real deal with State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like customer service associate at a dry cleaning shop.
Yeah, hi. I'm here to pick up my suit.
Ah, yes. Here you go.
There must be a mistake. This is too small.
It shrunk a whole lot. Look on the bright side. Now you have a suit you can give to a child.
This is a job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination. Bishop and Friends present college football's most polarizing figure.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Come on back to our show, Tim. The audience hates you.
This is ESPN's Paul Finebomb, sponsored by the Roofing Guys. For all your roofing, siding, and gutter needs, contact the Roofing Guys at theroofingguys.com.
All right, buddy, we talk every week, and yet I got to see Sankey tweeting out golf balls with your face on them. I mean, what do I got to do to get a sleeve of these?
Yeah, we do this every year in Birmingham. There's a senior golf tournament, but it's usually Sankey who makes the most news. ESPN dug deep, and they came up with a sleeve of balls with my name on it. By the way, I didn't get one, but Sankey did. It was an interesting day, and Bo, not to get too deep into it, but Sankey was alone in talking about the 16-team playoff because Kirby Smart was on right after him and said, I like the 24.
That's where I was headed, buddy. I was paying very close attention to that because you and I have talked in the last couple of months about how Tony Petitti was on an island and he had no friends, and I still don't know if he has any friends because we never hear from him. But it appears that at least some people are coming around to his idea. I thought that was quite noteworthy that Kirby, who's, he's the senior guy now. He's the biggest voice, I would say, in that conference right now. You correct me if I'm wrong with Nick out. Him saying that, and others have said it in recent weeks too. What do you make of all this?
No, I talked to I think 3 different coaches yesterday, 4 coaches in the SEC, and they all and it's simple. They want to get in the playoff. They don't really care where they are, and I think that's a fact. And Sankey did say one interesting thing, which I don't think I had heard before. He said that they're working on a new plan for next year, where I think the first and second team seed can pick their path, so to speak. Where I don't know if this is earth-shattering, but it is a little bit better than what we've seen where Ohio State ends up going to the same place every year, and you end up sending the East teams west and the West teams east. But beyond that, though, I got the impression from a rather lengthy conversation with Sankey that he is not eager to talk about 16 versus 24.
Yeah, I'm sure not. The thing that I keep coming back to, and when you talk to these coaches about the 24, do they ever have dialogue about how the calendar would work with that long of a postseason?
Well, that was what was interesting about Kirby. He's for ending the season earlier. I don't know how you do that. The elephant in the room is the SEC championship game. I think 2 weeks ago when Greg Burns spoke about it, we were talking about a $60 million game. Sankey described it as a $100 million game yesterday. So the value of that game goes up as it begins to go away. But you could tell this is the first time I've spoken to Sankey since all the critics have been out, and he is not happy about it. He was very, very, very serious about everything he said.
Who's with him? Who of his contemporaries do you get the feeling are with him?
I don't think there's anybody major right now because Kirby Smart isn't just the best coach in the SEC. He's the dean of the SEC now. Even though Kiffin claims that he's had 3 different runs, that does not count. But yeah, I mean he's the leading voice, and essentially what yesterday set up was 4 weeks from now when the SEC meetings are going on, and this will be a hot button issue. And that's the hard part for Sankey is that he used, I think, in the end, a lot of capital last year on getting the league to 9 conference games when it was pretty obvious On Tuesday and Wednesday of SEC meetings week, the coaches were all against it, and then on Friday it was announced, and it hasn't really been the same since for him.
No, and when you're playing the 9, and now you want to go to 24, and obviously, he's answering to university presidents, he's answering to your employer as well in terms of ESPN. The partnership is there, and they need inventory, and they want more inventory, so he's trying to kind of manage all of these things. The other thing we're dealing with this now is a 5 to play 5. I'm wondering, has his power at all been diminished? I mean, this is kind of a silly one, but give me a little leeway on it. Has his power diminished at all from the fact that the SEC hasn't played for a national title in football in 3 years?
No, I think that's more important than all this other stuff because it's perception. And when you're at the tip of the spear and your conference is pushing everyone else around, your voice seems a little bit louder. And I think that has probably been the biggest negative. And it also hasn't hurt that some other things have gone haywire. But yeah, it's like, not to get into politics, but if the president is at 65% or 70% in approval ratings, Congress is going to go, you know what? Yeah, we'll probably go with him. But when it dips below 35, you start heading for the hills. And I think in his case, there's nothing more important than that Monday night of the national championship game, and the fact the SEC hasn't even been there. And we're about to start up. Can we go four? Can we go 4 in a row with missing it? But I think the power part of it is the most important thing. And Petitti, I don't think had a master plan, but thanks to Kirk Cignetti, Petitti has gotten bailed out at a time when I think his approval ratings have been at the lowest.
Yeah, he basically doesn't say anything. Like, nobody hears from him. I don't have any idea. But, yeah, they've won on the field, and so it feels like he's got a little bit of power here. And look, all of these guys want the simplest path, right? They just want to be able to say we made the playoff, then I can keep my job and keep my raises and all of it. Anything else come from the conversation you had with Greg that was interesting to you?
Well, he did a lot. I mean, he's hanging his hat on the fact that the president's involved, and Randy Levine, the president of the Yankees, is now. I mean, when I heard Randy Levine's name yesterday again, I'm like, going, how did college football cede power to the president of the New York Yankees? But I'll cut through the fat on that one, Bo. It is tomorrow's May. I don't think Congress is going to do anything in spite of all the bloviating because the clock is up. Primary season everywhere, as you know. Nobody really. There's so many other issues up there, and even though I think they moved the ball in the last 2 months by the president's confab, if we don't see anything in the next 2 weeks, it's not going to happen. And then another lost year has occurred, and I think that just diminishes all the people, including Nick Sabin, by the way, who I talked to. Nick Saban's not only sitting there next to the president 6 weeks ago, but the White House released a video of Sabin talking about the president's commission. I mean, nothing like mixing church and state when the most powerful outside voice in college football is now being used by the White House.
So was Kalen? That's crazy. So you were in Birmingham for this Regions Pro-Am. Sankey's there, Sabin's there. Was Kalen there?
He was.
What is that like?
It was a little bit better yesterday than a year ago, and I told you that they both converged. They had it. DeBoer sat down with us in spite of the rhetoric on the show. Couldn't have been nicer. And Bo, you'll love this. Talking to I asked him about the contract extension. He gave the perfunctory chat GBT answer. But he spent 6 or 7 minutes talking about going out to Seattle last weekend. You'll have to help me with the Big Ten softball rivalries, but Washington was playing someone. His daughter plays on the team, and think about Ryan Day doing this. Okay, he said, I went to the game. I had dinner with my daughter. I got on a flight from Seattle late Sunday night to Charlotte, a red eye. I changed planes in Charlotte, flew to Birmingham, and then drove to Tuscaloosa, 57 miles, and started my day on Monday. I mean, I just The idea that the Alabama, I mean, I said, Coach, I just nominated you for Father of the Year. I don't know about Coach of the Year, but you're Father of the Year. I mean, but it was, it humanized him, but it also made you worry. That's a lot of time in a commercial airline when he probably could have been maybe recruiting.
Well, Paul, what I would say immediately is Ryan would have a private plane for that. Like, what's going on at Alabama that he doesn't have access to a private plane to fly him to Seattle?
Well, in his new deal, he doubled his hours, but Nick Sabin recruited Julian Sayin. I'm told he went out to Southern California 3 different times. I promise you he wasn't flying United Airlines.
No, he was not. I promise you that. Last one for you. That's the kind of the news of the day, the week in college football was the Sorsby news at Texas Tech. I think you and I have always agreed if there was going to be, it wasn't going to be the federal government. It wasn't going to be anybody putting curbs on this. It was going to be boosters getting kind of burnt. These are shotgun marriages. Do you think that this will be any sort of cautionary tale for others in terms of you can't properly vet somebody when you only know them for 2 weeks?
It won't stop a single team from spending $5 million. It just won't. The most interesting part about that story is the yawn it has gotten from the college football world. Like, okay, we knew that's going on. I mean, and we do know what's going on. By the way, yesterday, one last thing. Senator Tuberville was at this golf tournament too. The former Auburn coach. He said, all these people talking about $40 million payrolls. He said, we have $60 million payrolls. Now, I don't know where he got his information, but he is a U.S. senator, and he said college football is a complete disaster.
Were you a fan of Seinfeld, Paul?
Yes.
You remember the Costanza line? It's not a lie if you believe it. Yeah, that's
exactly.
All right, buddy. We'll do it soon.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, there he goes. Paul Finebomb, the Paul Finebomb Show, ESPN, joining us on the Bryant Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on the Fan.
We know everything about you. We know you love the Buckeyes. We know you love the Jackets. We know you're wearing a red shirt. I just freaked the hell out of someone. The Fan.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Thinking about buying your first home? Now, with Third Federal, you can buy your first home and pay no PMI. Hi, I'm Mark Stefanski, Chairman and CEO of Third Federal. Private mortgage insurance, or PMI, can cost thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. And you may not realize PMI doesn't protect you. It only protects the lender in case of default. But at Third Federal, you can buy a home with just 5% down and no PMI. Plus, first-time home buyers get $750 off a closing cost. So if you're thinking about buying your first home, go for it and visit thirdfederal.com.
Even before you find a home, lock in 5.99% APR, 6.02% on a 30-year fixed-rate purchase mortgage. Visit thirdfederal.com or call 1-800-3RD-FED today. APR reflects 15% down for $350,000 loan amount. Rate requires automatic payment program and is subject to change. Restrictions apply. See conditions for closing cost coupon at thirdfederal.com/FTHB. Equal housing lender.
Common Man here for GoGermain.com. I have been telling you about my friends at Germain for a long time, and it's because they bring the goods. And right now, you get $3,000 over Kelley Blue Book on your trade during the Germain Trade and Upgrade Sales Event. Yes, cue the trumpets. Nearly 4,000 new and pre-owned vehicles, plus an extra $3,000 on your trade means your budget goes further. And with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started now at GoGermain.com.
When you saw your heating bills this winter, did you think this is out of control? The problem is your house is leaking money, and the only thing higher than your heating bills are your cooling bills. Steve here from USA Insulation. Let us fix your energy bill problem for good. If you aren't foam insulated, you really aren't insulated. For $99 a month, interest-free, we'll foam your home and help cut those energy bills. 529-2440 or USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation. At Babs R Us, we believe home improvement is life improvement. As the Midwest's fastest growing 5-star bathroom remodeler, we're more than just transformations. We're a community driven by a mission to bring your dreams to life. Our installation team, part of the Babs R Us community, isn't just skilled. They're dedicated to respecting your home. Each day, they bring craftsmanship and hustle, turning your dream space, no matter the size, into reality. Together, we embrace a culture that values diversity, collaboration, collaboration, and giving back. From supporting local projects to fostering a workplace where every voice is valued. Babs R Us is more than a company. It's a community of experts. We're also expanding locations to create more possibilities for homeowners across the Midwest. Wherever you are, you'll find us ready to turn your dreams into something you can see, feel, and enjoy every day. Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement, or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel. Plus, low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BAB to schedule your free estimate, or go to babsrus.com. Babs R Us, where dreams soak in.
The Reds are on the Fan's family of stations all season long. If you don't listen, Terry Francona will ride his scooter to your house and yell at you. Your home of the Reds. The Fan, the Fan 2, and the Fan 3.
I'm Jeff Hogan. I've been a journalist at 10 TV for more than 20 years. I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. And that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it moves. It moves you to act, to speak up, or lend a hand. And yes, it moves your heart through the kind of human storytelling that stays with you wherever you are. And at 10 TV, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Central Ohio.
Educators, healthcare workers, first responders, and military. The Columbus Aviators salute you with $10 tickets to any home game. Get yours at uflaviators.com.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Airflow Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Thursday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Billiards Plus. Find your next grill and everything you need for the master griller. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
As you had mentioned with Paul there in the last segment, yesterday was a busy day in Birmingham. The Regions Tradition Pro-Am brought together some of the biggest decision makers in the Southeastern Conference. Nick Sabin was a guest on Paul's show yesterday and asked about the possibility of coaching again in college football.
Well, when people call, all I can tell all the fans out there is, Miss Terry says, if you take a job, you're commuting. She's not moving. She's not leaving the grandkids. She's not leaving any of that.
So the answer is probably no.
No, that's probably right.
Thing or not a thing?
He's 74. So, thing. Yeah. And he's having a good time on game day. He's also good enough, smart enough, of all of the things that he did, and I think you could make a pretty straightforward argument he's the greatest coach in the history of college football. But for all the things that he did, maybe the thing that he should get the most credit for is understanding when to walk. He walked at the exact right time. Did he have one more year in him? Maybe. Could he have got to Julian? Maybe. But he got out at the right time. He knew NIL was coming for that Bama program. He knew it. He knew free transfer. Remember that big dust? That was this. This may have been at this event in Birmingham where remember that? That was the whole I got ranches. That was the Dabo, or when Jimbo lost his mind about it. He knew when to get out. Yeah, he knew when to get out.
Yeah, I think this is a thing because you mentioned the age, and I'm sure there's still part of him that's super competitive and would like to prove that he can do it, but I think there's no part of him that wants to deal with what's going on in college athletics right now. I don't think that's why he left. Is like you said, he knew what was coming. He saw it on the horizon, and he wanted no part of that. He does a great job on game day. He does a great job when he's sitting there with Finebomb at a golf tournament, talking about the sport and whatnot. A lot of people have said, Nick Saban could be the guy that could help fix this. I don't think he wants a part of that either.
No,
I think
and he can't.
Just doesn't want to touch it.
I do wonder if he would have left had he been coaching Texas instead of Alabama. Like if he had all the money to go get the rosters he wanted, if he had A&M's money, would he have, because I think a big part of it was the winning at Bama was over.
I mean, I think he was in that state. Like, there's the Nick Saban Mercedes.
Yeah.
It's like, did he realize, like, I'm probably the biggest moneymaker here?
I'm among them.
I saw this earlier in the morning from Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports. Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bavacqua is reorganizing his department, quote, to better align with the future, end quote. That includes making football administrator Ron Paulus the first chief operating officer in department history. An interesting move in a climate where football is driving so many decisions. Thing or not a thing?
Ron Paulus? Like, that's the guy that Beano Cook said was going to win 3 Heismans, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's him. I had no idea he was involved in that. So now he's going to be, what, the CEO of Notre Dame football? Is that the way you translate that?
The chief operating officer, COO, baby.
COO of Notre Dame football. I mean, so that's a place that's going to have the funds. Notre Dame's got the funds. If they want to go nuts on foot, and by the way, we're going to be very good this year. They got the perfect coach to do it. If Notre Dame wants to have a $100 million football roster, they could be Texas Tech if they want to. They have the money for it.
I think this is a little bit of a thing, especially if Ron Paulus is good at this job. I just can't help but think, like, Ron Paulus, one of the biggest busts of all time. He had so much fanfare and hype coming into Notre Dame, and it just never went for them. I mean, they thought he was going to be the guy that got them back to a national championship game. He was that ballyhooed, and it just never worked out. Hung on a couple NFL teams on practice squads for a while, played for the Amsterdam Admirals, but just never there for him. But we've seen how important these positions are now in college football. So if he is good at it, it's a big thing for Notre Dame.
If memory serves, Ron Paulus is a Western PA guy. Beano Cook, who you may not even remember, but Beano Cook was a massive voice in college football in the 90s. He was on game day. He would have these great things. And Beano was the SID at Pitt before he went to ESPN. And so there was that, he knew him. He knew him growing up, and I think he probably created these outsized expectations in terms of what Ron Paulus was. Of no fault of Ron Paulus's.
Said he would win the Heisman at least twice.
Yeah. And I just thought there was familiarity. In retrospect, looking back, he probably felt bad. I remember him in Sports Illustrated as a kid, as a high school player, and I remember knowing him from that.
Said he would be the best quarterback in the history of Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I learned this yesterday that the Las Vegas Raiders do not officially retire numbers. Number 1 overall pick Fernando Mendoza still sought approval from Raiders legend Tom Flores for his number 15. Mendoza told Raiders.com, quote, "I had a good college career. I haven't done anything in the NFL. So for him as an NFL legend, a Raider legend, for him to give me permission to wear the number 15 and represent Raider Nation, the silver and black, and him all in one, it's an eternal blessing." Flores told the team site, quote, "He deserves my blessing because if he's not the real deal, I don't know what the hell I'm doing," end quote. Thing or not a thing?
Okay, I think pretty cool for the Raiders that they don't retire jerseys. I don't think you should in the NFL anyway. I just, unless there's some sort of tragedy or something like that. But for the most part, I think numbers ought to be issued and not retired. Just honor the jersey, put them in the Ring of Honor, but you'd have to take the number out of circulation. I did not know that Tom Flores, I was aware of him coaching the Raiders. I had no idea that he played for the Raiders and wore number 15 while he played there. I had no recollection of that. It obviously happened long before even I was born. But I certainly remember him coaching them and being very dang good at that.
Same, Bo, as far as I didn't even realize, I don't remember Tom Flores playing for the Raiders. And you would think if somebody's number was going to be retired, unless it was like the 1930s, you wouldn't know about that. Tyvus and I just had this conversation this morning because some people have talked about should the NBA retire the jersey 23 league-wide after LeBron retires for LeBron and Michael both. And that's a great thing that the Raiders don't do that, and I'm sure they honor their guys in some way. But a very cool thing and a respectful thing from Fernando Mendoza to ask about it. It just seems like this kid gets it.
He's pretty easy to root for, isn't he? Like if he was the quarterback at your team, I think he'd be pretty easy to root for.
The Big 12 is closed on a private capital deal with outside investors that'll provide at least $12.5 million to the conference. The league's partnership with Collegiate Athletic Solutions, a 50-50 venture between Redbird and Weatherford Capital, was first announced in December, recently finalized. In addition to the immediate capital, the Big 12's got a year to accept another $12.5 million. Its member schools also have the option of taking up to $30 million in credit. It remains unclear how many schools are going to agree to the deal, but league sources anticipate only a few doing that option. Conference capital will be invested into new revenue-generating initiatives, according to league sources. The deal does not include any ownership or governance stake in the Big 12. Thing or not a thing?
Big thing because of who's involved. So Redbird Capital, that is former Browns president Alex Shiner is involved in that. And they've been dipping their toe in sports a lot. Weatherford Capital is Drew Weatherford. That's the former quarterback at Florida State who is really pushing FSU to get out of the ACC as quickly as 2029. So this is why this is a big thing, because of who those two partners are. They know the sports landscape, and now you're letting them in, and I think that's a massive thing.
I think this is a big thing because it feels like this is just the first of many to come, and I like the statement there. The very last one, the deal does not include any ownership or governance stake in the Big 12. Yeah, but they ain't doing this out of the goodness of their hearts.
No.
And you're going to have to answer to them at some point, especially if you take up to $30 million in credit. Oh, boy.
Yep. You always have to pay the piper at some point. Final hour of the program coming up next. Is it breaking news that Deshaun Watson is leading the Browns quarterback race? We will dig in on that, among other things, coming up in the final hour. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Bobby Carpenter demands that you watch Morning Juice on YouTube. If you don't, Tito will move into your house.
Live at 6 a.m. on YouTube and streaming on the Fan app.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Tired of snoring? Sleep Better Columbus can help with a custom mouthpiece that opens your airway and stops the snoring. No mask, no noise. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com today. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
Hi, I'm Patty, founder of Awesome Tex. I started with a big idea to give old clothes a new life by turning them into recycled fibers and threads. Everyone told me that this was going to be impossible, but Chase for Business believed in me. They gave me a lot of guidance from the beginning.
Get financial guidance from bankers in the Columbus community and convenient digital tools all in one place. Learn more at chaseforbusiness.com. Make more of what's yours. Real customers compensated. JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA member FDIC.
Veterans and active duty service members. When your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. An elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
When my wife and I got married after both graduating law school, we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Ultima had to give me her gas card just to drive home. We never could have imagined that one day we would have the largest injury firm in the world and $25 billion in money collected and counting. As good Catholics, we had 4 children fast. They all work in the firm today. Our family protecting yours. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, but our greatest gift was years away, grandchildren. Today we have 6 and counting. It's the greatest joy that we have ever experienced. I think about them all day long. Our family promises to protect your family should you need us. Call us. It's easy. Visit forthepeople.com and make sure you hug your grandchildren. God's final gift to us. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial pound law.
Morgan & Morgan, Ohio office located at 600 Vine Street, Cincinnati. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
I'm Brian Albizu, traffic anchor for 10 TV News this morning. Columbus is quickly becoming my home, and this community has welcomed me with open arms. My mission is simple, to help you get to where you're going quickly and safely. Whether it's helping you beat the slowdown on 270 or giving you detours around major construction, we've got you covered. Because when your morning's on the move, so are we. Make the move to 10 TV News this morning, weekdays from 5 to 9, anywhere you watch.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. Bring your landscape back to life with an unbeatable deal from Ohio Mulch. 5 bags of premium mulch for just $10. You choose from absolute black, brown, or red to make your flowers pop and your curb appeal shine. Whether you're refreshing flower beds or finishing up that weekend project, Ohio Mulch, they have everything you need to make it look like a pro did it.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply, cleaner, greener, better.
Some choose the fast way, others choose the easy way, but you do things the right way. That's why professionals and homeowners trust Voss Brothers Power Equipment, your source for Exmark mowers. Engineered to deliver the world's finest zero-turn mowers with a legendary quality of cut, durability that lasts for generations, and an experience that feels like anything but work. Because if it's worth doing right. Visit Voss Brothers Power Equipment with locations in Powell, Sunbury, and Marysville, and find the Exmark mower built for you. Voss Brothers Power Equipment, delivering enjoyment in mowing since 1989.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing a lawyer, but getting some guy who just watches courtroom dramas.
How does the defendant plead?
Guilty. Wait, what? Also, objection.
You object to what?
Erroneous.
Counsel, approach the bench.
Hey, can I get a whack at the gavel?
You wouldn't settle for just any lawyer, so don't settle for just any insurance. Get the real deal with State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like customer service associate at a dry cleaning shop.
Yeah, hi. I'm here to pick up my suit.
Ah, yes. Here you go.
There must be a mistake. This is too small.
It shrunk a whole lot. Look on the bright side. Now you have a suit you can give to a child.
This is a job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Hey, it's T-Bone again. Sleep apnea doesn't have to rule your nights. Sleep Better Columbus has been treating snoring and sleep apnea for over 15 years with proven results and now has an office open in Marysville. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or go to sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios. Driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. We've got day baseball in Ohio's Queen City. The Reds host the Rockies today at 12:40 in the rubber match of their 3-game set. Colorado won 13-2 last night. Cincinnati enters the day with a half-game lead on the Cubs for the top spot in the NL Central. The Guardians lead the AL Central by a similar margin. Tigers are a half-game back. Cleveland's off Thursday after beating Tampa yesterday 3-1. They'll head west for a 7-game road trip that starts Friday in Sacramento. In the minors, the Clippers and Toledo Mudhens continue their series at Huntington Park tonight at 6:35. Columbus and Toledo split the first 2 games of that series. In the NFL, the Browns are breaking ground on their new stadium today. The Brook Park facility is scheduled to open before the 29 NFL season. Rookies for the franchise will report to Berea next week for rookie minicamp on May 8th. This update is sponsored by Metal Supermarkets, your convenience store for metal. Visit Columbus at metalsupermarkets.com or 2180 Wilson Road for all your metal needs.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour here on a Thursday edition of the program. We have a guest. 3 things that I received via text that we will present in the 3 things portion of this program. Did you guys see this cow running amok at Illinois? Fish sent me this.
Where did it come from?
Now, Fish, well, have you been there?
No, but I'm assuming
it's not far.
Champaign-Urbana, similar to agriculturally what Columbus has?
Well, it's smaller. It's been a while since I've been there, but in my mind's eye, and Fish can correct me on this if he's indeed listening. So he sent me this email saying bull on the loose in Illinois, and I quickly corrected him. No, cow on the loose. Bull on the loose is an entirely different set of circumstances. Bull on the loose, your violence could happen. Bull on the loose. Cow on the loose, probably just looking for some food.
Yeah, so what happened reportedly is that Wednesday afternoon they were loading the cow into a trailer at the College of Veterinary Medicine, and somehow the cow was able to get loose, but now recovered and under veterinary care, which I'm questioning all of those vets.
Well, I would tell you veterinary care for a cow is just put it in a pasture.
Yeah, that's
veterinary
the
care.
Quad.
It doesn't need to decompress.
Do you guys remember, what was it, last fall? I think it was last October, the beginning of October. A cow got loose on 270.
Mm-hmm.
They did not have the trailer, the door to the trailer latched properly, and this cow got out, and it caused like a 2 or 3 hour backup. And I remember that night there was a Blue Jackets game. I was up on Sawmill Road, and normally I come 270 that way, but I went the other way to go to the Blue Jackets game, thankfully, and didn't get caught all that. And I just remember in this whole time, like, if the cow is off to one side of the road, it's not going to be moving super quickly. Like, open a lane of traffic and at least let people go by.
I mean, just give me a call. I'll rope the sucker.
Yeah, the Daily Illini has pictures of this cow loose, and there's one of a campus police officer just pointing at the cow. Because, yeah, what do you expect them to do? Like, they're trying to wrangle this thing, so my guess is to get a cowboy.
Yeah. That's all you need.
Did it have the horns like Marigold did?
No.
The one on 270?
This is just a regular cow.
So the one on 270, if memory served, was like a Scottish Highland cow, I believe.
Sounds right.
This is a Black Angus, is what this one is.
Oh, so this is
cruising around Illinois.
This is Hyde Park.
Well, I'll tell you what. You drop that comment on my cousin Ty McDonald at Merrimack Cattle Company, and he would throw you through a window. Because they run Hereford, and he is one of the biggest, which are the brown and white spotted ones, if you ever see him. We don't see him very often. They used to be really popular, and everybody goes Black Angus. His whole beef, and his father's whole beef is, which is no pun intended, is that basically the Black Angus people are just really much more organized. That quite honestly, there's no. I promise you right now, if I gave you a fillet from a Hereford or a Black Angus, you couldn't tell the difference.
Hey, if it's cheaper, I'm all for it. Name recognition.
Yeah. But the Black Angus folks have done a good job of making certified Black Angus. Okay. What does that mean? Just a cow. And that's the other part of all these cow chases. Like, now, here's the other part. If it's a bull or a steer, if it's a steer especially, then that's going to end up at steakhouse, is the way that one's going to go. Now, cow can reproduce, so you wouldn't want to have the final demise for them because you can have more cows. So that's what makes that part a little trickier on that. All right. So yesterday up in Cleveland, Mary Kay Cabot, who's legendary. She's a Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame beat writer for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, put out a story on social that said, breaking news, Deshaun Watson takes the lead in the Browns quarterback race after a couple of days of non-mandatory practices. The OTAs, that he took the lead, and that, in her opinion, the Browns should name him the starting quarterback sooner rather than later. The last part's really important. That part is her opinion. She cited sources that he's taking a lead. Some of this is a little bit semantics, right? How long would you guys say on this show I have talked about Watson in that quarterback situation? At least 2 months.
Yeah, I would even take it back further to the end of the season. Just because they're opening his window, and it's like, well, yeah, because they expect him to at least compete for this job in the future before next June when they can cut him.
Yeah.
He'll be a part of this.
Yeah. And I came on here after, I think there were OTAs last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think. The one that the media had access to was Tuesday, and there were people up there that were breaking down the throws and the reps and all of those things. And I came on here, I'm pretty sure Wednesday, and just said, look, Watson looks the part. He looks like a franchise quarterback. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's incredibly fit. The ball comes out of his hand the way that it did at the time of acquisition, that you said, yeah, give that guy $230 million. He has all of those pieces to it. Now, he hasn't done that since 2000. So if you have skepticism of that, I totally understand it. But then I think the other thing that needs to be kind of reminded sometimes is that Shedeur Sanders was a 5th-round pick. This isn't like, this wouldn't be as if they decide to go this way, this wouldn't be like as if they took Shedeur Sanders number 1 like they did Baker Mayfield and then didn't give him the keys to the franchise. He's a 5th-round pick. They drafted another quarterback in the same draft 2 rounds before him. I feel like that's not talked about. And I don't care, and I'm sure you guys don't. I don't care who quarterbacks the Browns. You just want the best player to be able to do it. And Todd Monken doesn't have any history with any of these guys. None. He's getting it from Jump Street. Blank slate across the board. And I think that part is missed a little bit in all of the dialogue around it.
I think Watson's such a polarizing figure. And same with Shedeur, both for very different reasons. That's where the conversation just gets goofy. I think you do sprinkle in a little bit of Brown's quarterback dysfunction historically, since they've returned as a franchise, and all of that, is just conversation because it's more salacious or it's more interesting than what's actually happening as a first-year head coach who's picked none of these guys is just going by what he sees from a handful of practices. Like, that's not that much fun to talk about, but that for me has been the reality of this. And that's what it does. It's not more complicated than that. Despite my feelings of Deshaun, despite my feelings of getting Shedeur after taking Dylan Gabriel, like, I'm throwing all of those out because Monken's not involved in that.
It's funny you mentioned a quarterback picked before. Nobody mentions that quarterback either. Nobody's mentioned Dylan Gabriel this year, and I believe this program has said all along that the Week 1 starter for the Cleveland Browns was going to be Deshaun Watson. Because he's the only one that you have seen do it at a successful rate at this level. And it's been a long time since you've seen Deshaun. But we had a six-game runway with him a few years ago where he went 5-1 with the Cleveland Browns. And it may not have looked like Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans, but they did win. And he's the only one that's really had any NFL success. And Shedeur, to me, what I saw from Shedeur last year were flashes that, there could be something, but there was still a lot of development that needed to be done. And if you're the Cleveland Browns and you want to win this year, and every NFL franchise, I believe, except for maybe 2 or 3, want to win this year, you go with who gives you the best shot at winning. And to me, without seeing anything like you've seen, Bo, in the little mini camp and whatnot, to me, I don't think there's any doubt that that's Deshaun Watson, even though we haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, and look, we live in a world now where, like, look at me, everybody's doing this, right? And there isn't, the only umbrage I would take with it is this isn't really breaking news, right? Everybody who was there saw that Watson was ahead of the other two. You got nothing from the organization saying, well, that's the case, unless it's Todd as the source, then of course, then you could say sources. And I do not doubt her sources for a second saying that. But guess what? I said that. Anybody who watched it last week said that he was the one that looked the best of the lot by a pretty considerable margin. So then the other thing that's a little bit semantics is this notion of taking something that you're saying is breaking news and then adding to it an opinion of, I think they should. See, these lines are now completely blurry, right? Now you're not reporting anymore. Now you're, in the old days in the newspaper world, there were beat writers and columnists. Beat writers told you what was happening. Columnists told you why something is happening. Now they're together.
Now everybody has an opinion.
And that sometimes can be confusing.
I just don't know what good it would do for Todd Monken to, with 5-6 practices under his belt, announce a starter.
No,
just logically, not. What point would that be?
No, but also, like, if he knows at the end of the mandatory minicamp, then there's no reason to continue with this either. Like, you don't need to do. There's no reason to do it.
Yeah, give the guy the bulk of the reps.
Yeah, let's go. So I think her opinion portion of this, no matter who it is, if it was Shedeur that's ahead of Watson, okay, fine. Then go with Shedeur and let him have every opportunity to be successful. So the opinion portion of the report, I'm with, absolutely. Pick one, go with it, and don't let this drag into camp. So I think all of those things make a little bit of sense. Kirby Smart said something yesterday down in Birmingham that makes a lot of sense, too. We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Winners of the prestigious Platinum Microphone Award every year, given to the best radio station in the world. No need to look it up. It's real. The Fan.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
I suspect there are many fans out there along the Reds radio network who recall this game on this date, April 30th, 1988. The Reds versus the Mets at Riverfront Stadium. And with the score tied 5-5, umpire Dave Pallone called a Mets runner safe at first. Manager Pete Rose charged out of the dugout to argue, and things quickly escalated, with Pallone jabbing his finger in Pete's face, Pete shoving Pallone. The fans became so agitated they showered the field with debris, causing a 14-minute delay, one of the wildest moments ever at Riverfront Stadium on April 30th, 1988. This date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
Planning to buy a home in 2026? Not sure where to start? The Ohio Housing Finance Agency can help. With a step-by-step homebuyer's guide and financial tools, the Ohio Housing Finance Agency can make homeownership part of your future. Eligible homebuyers may qualify for down payment assistance and reduced mortgage interest rates. To see if you qualify and to find a mortgage lender, visit myohiohome.org.
Bacon, sausage, egg, cheese, made from scratch biscuits, fresh baked croissants, cinnamon swirl French toast. Hungry? Grab a hot UDF breakfast sandwich made in store for your morning. UDF, mornings made for you.
Getting a little older doesn't have to mean, well, getting older. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And if you're feeling low energy, can't sleep, can't lose weight, or struggling with brain fog, or your sex drive is off, it's time to change it up. At Tri-State Men's Health, our advanced medical strategies featuring TRT, GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, and more treat low T and other hormonal issues to help you shed pounds, have more energy, enhance your body composition, improve sleep, increase your sex drive, and so much more, getting you back in the game again. So don't be older. Be stronger in the gym. Be sharper at work. Be better in the bedroom, and be more confident in every part of your life. So call us today and find out how our advanced treatment strategies could change the game for you. Your first visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on one of our advanced treatment plans on the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Future therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
Cheetah Green with Skip Mossick.
Saturday, we'll chat with Gene Sowers, who won the U.S. Senior Open the last time it was here at Scioto, plus SI.com's Gary Van Sickle.
Cheetah Green with Skip Mossick. Saturday mornings at 9 on The Fan.
We plant trees because people need trees, and when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Planning to buy a home in 2026? Not sure where to start? The Ohio Housing Finance Agency can help. With a step-by-step homebuyer's guide and financial tools, the Ohio Housing Finance Agency can make homeownership part of your future. Eligible homebuyers may qualify for down payment assistance and reduced mortgage interest rates. To see if you qualify and to find a mortgage lender, visit myohiohome.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
A mix of sun and clouds for us today, but it will be a cooler day than what we've been used to with highs in the mid to upper 50s. We could see some stray showers though today, so just keep an eye in the sky, otherwise mainly dry across central Ohio. And then for tonight, partly cloudy, overnight lows down into the 40s. For Friday, a chance of showers, otherwise mostly cloudy with highs in the mid to upper 50s. For The Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 weather impact forecast.
Matty Ice is currently bathing himself in creamy jalapeno dip. And I've officially run out of ways to tease this show. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan. If you say something with enough confidence, it must be true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, this event down in Birmingham had them all. All of the usual suspects from the SEC. Paul Finebomb, who was on with us, had a really interesting conversation about how Petiti potentially could be winning in this thing by not doing anything. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts, and I know we put it up on the social as well in terms of some of those conversations. Kirby Smart was down there and was asked a little bit about the subject of talent on college football teams, and he lamented some teams that he was a part of in the past.
I tell people all the time, I was like, our best Alabama teams, I'm going to go 2012, 13, 14, 15, would beat the dog out of all these teams right now because they could practice different and they were deeper, okay? The game has not changed that much from 2012 to 2025, but the roster has, and those teams would clubber lane somebody. They would just physically beat you. And I look at our team now and I go, oh, man, oh, God, we don't have the depth we had. We're not as good as we were. We're not going to be – and then we go out there and win the SEC. And I'm like, it's just relative. Yeah. It's relative. It's like everybody's going – I'm not saying going down because there's an Indiana. There's a Michigan. But relative, it's going down. Like there's not as much talent acquisition and much as talent on a team to be able to just develop it and grow. I'm playing younger players. I got kids that would have never played at Georgia when I got there or at Alabama I was there that are having to play now. Right. Because you don't have enough.
So it's an interesting thought, and it's probably the first time that you could actually say in the get off my lawn situation, it's one of the few times when you could say he's right in his specific instance, because you could make an argument that college football teams from 2005 to 2020, let's stop it with COVID because after that comes NIL, free transfer, all of that. 2005 to 2020, that there was an incredible hogging of talent in the sport. That there were a handful of teams. If you go mid-2000s, and Ohio State is always there. They're always in that conversation of the teams that hog the most talent. They were there the entire time, which is something we're all very, very grateful around here. But mid-2000s, USC coming out of Miami. Go look at those recruiting classes. Then Sabin gets to Alabama, and go look at recruiting classes from like 08 to 20. I don't know if there's a year that Alabama doesn't have a top 3 class. I don't think there's a year of it. And then Urban gets to Florida in the mid-2000s. Florida's recruiting like nuts. Go look at those Florida teams and the talent. Again, Buckeye's always there. Urban gets to Ohio State. Now all that talent's here. NFLU, all that it's been for all of this time, it all really jumped up a notch with Urban. Kirby goes to Georgia. Go look at when he gets to Georgia and go look at those recruiting classes. So that takes you all the way through 2020. Guys, in that 15-year window, most of the talent was on about 5 programs. Look at, you guys have seen those images of like the Ohio State wide receiver room in the late teens, early 20s, the Bama receiver room that had Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle and Henry Ruggs, and the Bama quarterback room that had Jalen Hurts and Mac Jones and Tua Tagovailoa all in one room. The Buckeye one that had Dwayne and Joe Burrow and all waiting to play behind J.T. Barrett. I mean, all of that is gone. And it's for the better. It's for the better. You're getting the talent. What NIL did, the other thing that, one last point on that 20-year run of the 2000s to maybe 2020, if you want to stop it there, you also had, and I think this is a cross-sports influence, you had the AAUification of sports. So we saw it in basketball when LeBron James went to play for the Miami Heat, and then everybody tried to do that. Actually, the Celtics probably did it first.
Yeah, it was Boston first.
Probably Boston first with that, with Garnett and Allen and Paul Pierce. Pierce was already there, but the other guys joining the Celtics to kind of create a big three, and then everybody wanted big threes. And we saw it in college sports too. I don't want to go make my own way at a school. I'm going to go with all the best recruits. I remember Chris Leak, who was a massive recruit for for Ron Zook at Florida before Urban got there. I remember Chris Leak was an early enrollee at Florida and was at the U.S. Army All-American game, and they put him on the mic. He makes his commitment. He says, I want all the best players in the country to join me at Florida. And a lot of them did. Ron Zook had an incredible recruiting class. Those guys were seniors when Urban was in his second year there, a team that ended up winning the national title. Those seniors were all a part of it. It was this AAUification of the sport Go look at the amount of 5 stars on some of those Bama, Buckeye, inevitably Georgia, those Florida rosters that Urban was on. Go look at those recruiting classes. It's 6 5 stars in some cases. An incredible amount of talent. Now it's all spread out. I mean, the number 1 quarterback in the country last year, didn't he go to Vanderbilt? Never would have happened 10 years ago. Never.
I think a top quarterback in either the next cycle or the cycle at the 28 cycle committed to Alabama. It's like, is he going to stay there?
Sure.
I mean, we talk about Tavian here in Columbus, and if Julian's back after this season, like Tavian's probably popping into the portal. You got to play if you want to play in the league. You got to play college football, and that on top of everything else means it's Ohio State's wide receiver. It's really Ohio State's every room, right? Where you've got guys that they come in, but they sit for 1 year, all right, and they sit for another year, and they're not interested in that anymore.
I think the wide receiver room at Ohio State is the greatest example for most of us because we know how it's been recently. We talk about that 2021 Rose Bowl that Olave and Wilson sat out. Maybe it was the 22 Rose Bowl that Olave and Wilson sat out, but that room had those two. It had JSN. It had Marvin Harrison Jr. It had Emeka Egbuka, all first-round draft picks in the NFL, all of them in one receiver room. And also another first-round wide receiver, Jamison Williams, left that room because he needed to get playing time.
That's right. He couldn't get on the field.
Just this past year, you had a wide receiver room with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, and you had 5 stars in Quincy Graham, or Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter behind them. And you think, oh, man, you're set up for next. Well, those two leave because Ohio State has to prioritize where their money's going. And in the wide receiver room, they've prioritized Jeremiah Smith and Chris Henry Jr., who's a freshman coming in. So I think it's the greatest example there, and it's something we've talked about. You're just not going to have in college football the depth that you used to. You're not going to be able to win a national championship with your third quarterback probably anymore because you're not going to have that many on the roster that are good enough to play.
And this also carries over to college basketball. I just see this from Front Office Sports. So Michigan reportedly spent $10 million on its championship roster. Front Office Sports reached out to Dusty May to ask if Michigan plans to spend more next season. Quote, "We do."
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to keep going up.
Yep.
It's going to keep going up. This is perhaps the best example I can give you. I had no idea what this would look like. I'm not paying attention to stuff as close as I used to. Here are the top 10 players in the 24/7 consensus ranking for the 2026 recruiting class. Okay, so these are kids who are early enrollees right now. This is the Chris Henry, right? That era. The number 1 player, Kayshawn Henderson, quarterback, Houston. The number 2 player, Jared Curtis, quarterback, Vanderbilt. Number 3 player, Faison Brandon, quarterback, Tennessee. Number 4, Lamar Brown, athlete, LSU. 5, Keneal Pepe, USC. That's the top 5 players in the country to 5 different schools. 2 of them non-traditional powers at all in Vanderbilt and Houston. The next 5 kids, Miami, USC, LSU, Notre Dame, Maryland. The roster hogging is done. You're trying to find a new way to do this. Everybody is. He's right. You'll never see those type of talent hogging rosters again. And you're going to play younger kids. It's not bad. It's just different. In fact, it's probably better that the talent is being spread around a little more than it was a decade ago when Kirby's talking about the era that he's talking about. Talent's going to get spread around in golf, too. Inevitably, it was going to happen. It happened sooner, honestly, than I thought. We'll get to it in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan. Hey there, friends. It's Bo Bishop. If you want to upgrade your summer road trip, you got to see my friends at RCD RV. Their open house sale going on May 2nd through the 9th includes free maintenance seminars, financing incentives, accessory discounts, and more. Plus, shop over 850 RVs from all the top brands. Need more? Buy any in-stock camper and get a $1,000 RCD gift card. Or go motorhome and grab $1,500. The RCD RV open house sale, May 2nd through the 9th. Don't miss it. Visit rcdrv.com and start planning your adventure now.
I'm Tracy Townsend, anchor at 10 TV News This Morning. This community is my home, and it means everything to me. I care deeply about the stories we bring you each day, especially the ones that truly impact your life, from women's health and advocacy to the decisions happening at the State House. My goal is simple: help you feel informed and connected, because when news moves fast, you need a team that moves with you. Make the move to 10 TV News This Morning, weekdays from 5 to 9, anywhere you watch.
Hey Central Ohio, it's Andrew from Home Team Solutions, and yes, we buy houses for cash the easy way. We've been buying houses for over 20 years and we've seen it all. Whether you've inherited a property, you're behind on payments, the house needs work, or just want to avoid the hassle of listing, we've got you covered. No repairs, no clean out, no stress, just a fair cash offer and you pick the closing date. We've helped hundreds of homeowners sell fast and hassle-free, and we're proud to have 5-star reviews all across Central Ohio and an A+ rating with the BBB. If you're ready to sell your house the easy way, call Home Team Solutions at 614-962-SELL. That's 614-962-7355, or visit us online at selltohometeam.com. Home Team Solutions, local, trusted, and family-owned. Again, that's 614-962-SELL. 614-962-7355 or selltohometeam.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Our top men are working on everything except this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
You guys familiar with Baghdad Bob? You know what I mean when I say that?
Iraqi Minister of Information, former.
Yeah, like we're rolling into Baghdad, and he's on television going, "There's nothing to see here. The Americans are fleeing." Remember this on state TV in Iraq at the time. LIV Golf had a couple of Baghdad Bob moments in the last couple of weeks. Most famous was, and I think we played it on the show, David Faraday and one of their others announcers just talking about how preposterous it was, the reporting that LIV Golf is going anywhere. Well, as it turns out, all of that reporting was very well vetted and has now been validated. All sorts of folks reporting yesterday that multiple representatives for LIV Golf, that LIV Golf is expected to tell its players on Thursday, which would be today, that the PIF's funding will stop at the end of the season. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Others are reporting LIV golfers have started to reach out to the PGA Tour to explore a potential return. The Telegraph reported that captains of LIV's teams have already been informed. I forgot they did that they have the captains. Sports Business Journal reporting Wednesday night that Yasir Al-Rahmanian, the governor of the PIF, who was behind the creation of LIV, is resigning as the tour's chairman. Sports Business Journal also reporting that LIV was planning to announce Thursday a strategy for moving forward without its primary financial backer, including a new board, and plans to seek outside financial partners. I would say don't waste money on that. That the one thing they had was the money. They had the infinite money. I remember having these conversations, Reese, when this was all happening, and you were here at that time, and we were having conversations about what it would look like. And one of the things that seemed so deflating from the PGA Tour's perspective was these guys will never run out of money. They can buy golf.
Literally comes out of the ground.
Yeah. And we're like, well, they can buy golf if they want to, I guess. And like 2 or 3 years ago, there was a story about how they did.
They did infuse money into the PGA Tour.
Yeah, but they forced the PGA Tour to. Yeah. I mean, they had a lot of positive influence on the PGA Tour. This did that. It's a byproduct of what happened here. But a couple of years ago, there was the story that they were going to try to merge the two of them and try to coexist. But the PGA Tour played the long game. Several PGA Tour players who were coveted did not go, which continued to prop up the PGA Tour. And now this is it. And it's going to be done because without the money from the PIF, there is no funding any of this. And you have guys like Bryson DeChambeau, whose contract is up after this year, John Rahm, who I think has a couple of years left. The Rahm deal was reportedly $300 million is what he got from that. And they threw money at those guys, not because those guys moved the needle in terms of, people can't wait to watch John Rahm play in a LIV event versus a PGA event. What they did is they threw money at the most prominent players to try to end the PGA Tour. That's what it was. It wasn't that they thought they were going to get their investment back. They're essentially loss leaders.
They didn't
We're
think
going to
team
overpay
golf
for this.
was going to be a hit.
Yeah, that's what they went for. The PGA Tour did introduce last year the ability for guys to go back. So Brooks Koepka took advantage of this, and he's back on the PGA Tour. He basically has to donate a bunch of money to charities, and he has to forego prize money and all of that for upwards of a year, I think. It could cost him $100 million, but reportedly he got $200 million plus to go to LIV Golf. But they said if you don't take it now, you're not going to get it. Patrick Reed basically has to sit out golf a year, and he's doing that. He'll be back on the PGA Tour in August. So that's going to be his kind of return to play. The people that's going to get hit most on this are the folks who they paid $5 to $10 million to fill their fields and to fill their teams. DeChambeau's going to be fine. He'll be fine. I mean, he could just do, quite honestly, he could just do YouTube golf and play the majors. He'd be fine. John Rahm theoretically could do the same. He's got all the money in the world, and he could still play the majors because he's a two-time major champion. It's all the rest of those guys where if they want to be on a tour, I don't know what that even looks like. And then the next part is, how petty should the PGA Tour be on all of this? This is essentially someone who tried to steal your wife. Your wife went on a few dates, and now she wants to come back. How punitive are you?
You ask for a couple million. But I don't think you penalize any further than that. I'm just reading that the PIF has formally announced the withdrawal at the end of 26.
Yeah.
Quote, the substantial investment required by LIV Golf over a long term is no longer consistent with the current phase of PIF's investment strategy. We tried to buy golf, it failed. So we're on to other ventures. Because the team thing, the party atmosphere, I think was all just cover up. It was like they just want to buy their way into golf. And they're going to try to do something renegade, something offshoot, and it didn't work because they got bored. But yeah, I don't think you hold it against them too much longer. I think for what the PGA Tour has the ability to do now is just in good faith bring these guys back, welcome them, and just try to move forward. Because everything's gotten better for golfers. Because of LIV Golf, because of the purses, because of the specialized events. So I don't think you hang it over their heads too long.
I'm with you, Reese. Let these guys back in and move forward. You've got all your guys back in one spot now, and if you slap on the wrist, whatever. I think, as we talked about, the LIV Golf forced the PGA to do some things that have been positive for golf and have helped the players out. So some of the players can be as mad as they want at players defected, but it helped you guys in the long run. It raised the boats and money for everybody in the tour. It helped with your demands that you were wanting. We talked about Phil Mickelson and how he was, especially early on, kind of a central figure in all of this and kind of a bad guy. A lot of the things he wanted the PGA Tour to do, they did because of this. So I'm with you, Reese. Move on, put it in the rear view mirror, and let's go.
I'm just looking at like these LIV rosters, and you just think I just think the simple thing to do, obviously those who got those big money deals, there's got to be some sort of comeuppance for that, because otherwise the folks who didn't take that money, like, they're being punished for it. So there should be some sort of punishment for that. And I think that's what they got to with Koepka. The rest of these guys just should have to earn their cards again. They go earn your way back on the PGA Tour. Like Anthony Kim's on the Aces team. He hasn't played golf in a decade. Then he came back to play with LIV. Like, he's got to earn his way back on the tour. Just like he doesn't get to just come right back to the tour. He's got to earn it. Go to Q school. Go qualify again.
Wouldn't he? I mean, I'm not sure where he would be anyway. I mean, some of these guys with their rankings and stuff may have to do that.
That's what I'm saying. I just think they have to earn their way back. Like, for every Dustin Johnson or Martin Keimer who's won majors, Bryson, like, all of those guys have won majors. Paul Casey's won a major, hasn't he? Didn't he win the Open once? Like, they're gonna be able to get into those type of tournaments. Sergio Garcia, like, some of these guys are a little washed too. Phil is on a team. There's nobody. The reality is there aren't that many guys on these teams. Rahm, I guess Tyrrell Hatton and Rahm would be relatively big names, not to non-golf folks though. Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, like, a lot of these guys are kind of at the end of the line. Taylor Gooch, Graham McDowell, I don't know. Harold Varner, Bubba Watson, there's one. Yeah, I think they're just going to have to earn their way back on. is probably the simplest way. Cam Smith, that was the one where that summer is when it felt like it was teetering for the PGA Tour, was when Koepka and Cam Smith went. Cam Smith won the Open Championship, and then the following Monday went to LIV. That's when it felt like you got a big problem on your hands now.
And some of these guys got paid handsomely to do this. But you mentioned a couple guys right there in Taylor Gooch and Cam Smith. Those seem like guys that career trajectory was on the up. Like Cam Smith, I think a lot of people thought was on his way to winning a major. And Taylor Gooch had won quite a few tournaments, I believe, right before he left for LIV Golf. Their careers have gone away. Like, you don't think of them anymore. And to me, like, I kind of feel like that's punishment enough to some of these guys because nobody knows who they are anymore. Nobody remembers them. Now, will that change if they get back into the grind of the PGA Tour and they get back to playing with these guys every week? Maybe. I don't know. But maybe this is their punishment as it derailed their careers.
Should. Yeah, absolutely. I did not have them giving up this quickly. The Saudis. I didn't think they'd give up on this quickly. I thought they would be in it for a little bit of a longer fight. But they're not.
I wonder how much the current climate of the world and things over there has changed their, like, hey, we can't be dumping money into stuff that's not making us money right now. I wonder how much that's changed everything.
There's no future for this because there aren't future stars in the league.
Well, that's the other part of it. And this is the big lesson, I think, in all of it. There isn't anybody. The line from Daenerys Targaryen, I don't want to be a spoke on a wheel, I break the wheel. Tiger Woods broke the wheel. There is nobody else like that. You could make an argument now that the PGA Tour, now that they've survived this, is bigger than any player. And that your next group of guys coming through, it's a little bit like college football. Like, these events are going to stay, and then we'll just fall in love with new players as they come in. Because now that you've survived this, there's no threat anymore. The tour is the star, is probably the end up being the final takeaway of all of this. We get you three things on a Thursday up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. AmazonBusiness.com.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending, the original home of the no-cost mortgage. Back in 1989, when I first went on the radio to introduce this whole no closing cost concept, where you could actually close on your mortgage without the lender taking $15,000, I had no idea if I had created the next pet rock fad of the day or something that would define my career over the course of the next 37 years. But once mortgage rates fell from 9 down to 6, our business exploded and I never looked back. You see, a no-cost loan is the only consumer-friendly mortgage where the homeowner actually holds all the cards. Short funds to close, eliminate thousands of dollars in closing costs. Rates are now down almost 2% from the peak, but you're holding off due to the cost of a refi? Not anymore. So let's start you down that path of eliminating closing costs once and for all and keep that money where it belongs, with you. 877-9-NO-COST. That's 877-9-NO-COST. Or simply apply online at nocostmortgage.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 250-2146.
Common Man here for Germain Volkswagen. Right now you get $3,000 over Kelly Blue Book on your trade during the Germain Trade and Upgrade Sales Event at both Germain Volkswagen of Columbus and Germain Volkswagen of Westerville. Plus, during Volkswagen Driver Days, interest rates can't get any lower on the 2026 Volkswagen Atlas and the 2026 Volkswagen Tiguan. Available to qualified customers on approved credit through Volkswagen Financial Services. See dealer for full details. Get started now at GermainVolkswagen.com.
It always seems to happen at the worst time. You're finally in bed after a long, hard day, and then you hear it. You sit up, heart sinking. Is that coming from the ceiling? All of a sudden, it's a middle of the night flashlight hunt to find the leak. But don't worry, Newman Roofing has you covered, literally. With more than 3 decades in the business, we've seen just about everything a storm can throw at a roof. Our teams know how to spot the problem, explain your options, and fix it right the first time, with craftsmanship and care you can feel good about. We're not just here for a quick patch job, and we never will be. We're here to make sure your home stays protected season after season. So when it comes to your roofing, siding, or gutter needs, choose the company you can trust, Newman Roofing. Call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF. That's 614-NEW-ROOF, or visit online at newmanroofing.com. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
We can come the day you call us.
We're 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Brian, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Okay, ask away.
Sometimes when we're talking, I hear a little sparkling sound.
Is it when one of us says, all you have to do is point?
There it is. Did you hear that?
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic? Like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
How many different ways can you consume morning juice? Let's see. Live on YouTube, live on the Fans HD3, podcast on demand, and on 10 TV Plus. And we'll send by you right to your house.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 8.
The Fan.
Enjoy more ways to save at Kroger, like low prices in every aisle. And you can clip and save more with digital coupons in the Kroger app. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's always easy to save big. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
During our Latin Flavors event, mix and match select varieties of fresh Tyson chicken. They're buy one, get one free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
I'm Leslie from Pella Columbus.
And I'm Wilson from that other window place. And are you tired of windows so drafty that your curtains blow in the wind even after you shut your windows?
Sounds like a problem, Wilson.
It's why at the other window place, we now offer curtain tie-downs.
Wouldn't just great non-drafty windows be the answer?
And tank the entire curtain tie-down market?
Get the windows that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
The Fan Poll is sponsored by JT's Pizza and Pub, home of award-winning pizza and $2 tall boys. All day, every day.
The show that understands the importance of a situational beverage. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, Reese, what do you have on the poll today?
Daily Fan Poll sponsored by JT's Pizza and Pub. It asks, who will be quarterback one for the Cleveland Browns week one of the 2026 NFL season? Your options, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, or Taylon Green. 48% say Shedeur. 44% Deshaun. 2% Dylan. And then 5% Taylon, the quarterback from Arkansas. Go Hogs.
Shedeur's winning?
4% of respondents. That's his lead over Deshaun.
It's so interesting how it's just never remembered where he was drafted. Like it's almost like the people that talk about him want him to have been the number 2 pick in the draft. And then it's a totally different conversation. Like if someone is a top 3 pick in the draft, then it's a different investment. He was a 5th round pick.
Well, Mel Kiper just told me he should have been all weekend long.
I guess he did. All right, time for 3 things on a Thursday. Hit it, fellas.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Newman Roofing. For all your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
All right. Guess 3 things from 3s. And I think we can surmise by these that these are coming via air travel this morning, where he's probably doing a little bit of recruiting. All right. Number 1. People who, when we land, stand and rush to the front as if they're the only human making a connection is still worthy of jail.
End the show. That's done. We can do no better.
See you tomorrow, everyone.
This is the most awkward conversation that I have routinely when I fly. Everybody's always late for connections because they've made the connection time so tight, and there are so many instances where it takes forever to taxi. Forever. And so you get to the thing, and they'll inevitably, a pilot will get on. We got some folks with some tight connections. Please stay to the side and let those folks get to their connections. If you get 250 people on a plane, who's standing down? We do not live in a society that takes care of each other. Everybody stands up and blocks it. Yes, there are people. It's almost like you need to say, The person in 26A, 17B, these people have connections of less than 30 minutes. If you are not one of the people in these seats, stay sat down, everybody else, so they can get to their planes. Anything else short of that. He's 100% right. It's crazy. But you're asking people to be considerate.
Nope.
And they're just not ever going to be. Everybody stands up, and this way everybody gets in the aisle because everybody wants to get off the fast as they can because we've all been stuck on it forever.
Bo, there is an interaction between me and someone from a plane that landed in O'Hare and went through the O'Hare airport in February of 2016 that my best friend's brother still talks about every time he sees me.
Did you give a little body check, Big?
There was no physicality, but...
My favorite thing is, well, if I'm tall, I've been uncomfortable the whole flight. You know who else has been uncomfortable the whole flight? Everybody. Everybody's been uncomfortable in the whole flight. Nobody loves flying. We're all in this together. Watch out for one another, please. Because if you do, then it's a better experience. If you don't, then you're just mad at everybody, even if you are the one standing up.
Mm-hmm.
What's the second?
All right. Number 2. From threes. People who put their backpack up in the overhead when they clearly have space to put under their seat is diabolical. Yes. Yes.
Agreed.
Cosign. There is room underneath. Now, if you check a bag, here's what I would say. If you put a backpack up top, then I have every right to reorganize it or move it however I see fit to put the roller boards, the roller bags up.
Also fair.
Right? So, like, if you have a backpack that you put up there and I'm trying to fit in 5 roller bags, then at that point, I can maneuver that so that I can fit all of these in. The airlines created this problem when they started charging for bags. I've flown a lot in the last 20 years. I would put it up against anybody who's not doing, like, business travel. I think I've flown as much as anybody who doesn't do like weekly business travel over the last 25 years. One of the biggest things that I noticed is when they started charging for bags, all of a sudden everybody has the carry-ons. Everybody does. Why? Because you start charging for checking bags. Nobody thought to do a carry-on. And when I first started flying 25 years ago a lot, most people didn't. Most people did check. Now nobody checks. Next time you get off a plane, count somebody who doesn't have an overhead bag. On the whole plane, I bet it's less than 10. Unless you're going to like destination. If you're going to Maui or you're going to, some huge family vacation where you need a lot of luggage. Other than that, everybody's doing the overheads. In fact, they might have to do something opposite. Maybe incentivize folks to check. $50 off your ticket if you check a bag.
I know this is probably not kosher, but in my formative years, I would I would know that my check bag, it should be a check bag, but I know it fit just enough to be considered a carry-on. I would roll it with me to the front and just see it at any point when they're doing the boarding process. They go, hey, we'll check a bag if you'd like. Like, oh, here's mine.
Yeah.
Just to avoid paying the fee. Because, yeah, $25, $30 for something is ridiculous on top of everything else that I've already paid to get on your plane.
I think the most diabolical thing they're doing now is when they give you the price of a ticket, but it's like for 3 seats that are in the back of the plane, center aisle by the bathroom. And then as soon as you start to like say, well, I don't want to sit there, I want to sit somewhere up here, they're like, oh, yeah, that's going to be an extra $29. Oh, you want to sit here? Another $79. You want to sit here? Another $189. That's the most diabolical thing they're doing right now.
Also, I don't know how they assign boarding groups. I've never been able to figure that out.
It's the dumbest thing ever. You fill the back of the plane first and go to the front.
Right. What I also don't understand is why we're in such a hurry to get on planes and get off them. You have the exact same sense of urgency to get on the plane as you do to get off of it.
Especially if it's assigned seating. What's the point?
I think the big concern is the overheads. They're worried you're going to run out of overhead space. They've been doing that recently, last few times I've flown. If you're boarding in group 6, you're not going to have enough overhead space for you. You're going to have to check your bag. That's where the panic sets in. And then you get people putting their overhead bags in rows that they're not even in as soon as they board.
And then you get meet the parents.
And then away you go.
Can't say bomb on an airplane.
All right, number 3 from threes. In a guest 3 things on a Thursday. Number 3, people who walk onto the plane watching a show on speaker without headphones is absolutely idiotic and makes me want to slap their phone out of their hand.
Doing anything on your speaker phone is diabolical. Stop having phone calls. Stop being on FaceTime in public places.
Has this happened with you guys where you're like at the grocery store or something and someone is talking loudly and you're like, excuse me?
Yes.
And they're on a stupid
Bluetooth
Bluetooth
speaker and on the Bluetooth.
It's everywhere.
The headphones at the grocery store are another thing for me, but that's for another time.
I'll tell you this right now. If I owned a corporation or a business and I saw somebody going to use the bathroom who worked for me, and as they walked to the bathroom, they had earbuds in and they were watching their phone, you're fired. You're fired. Get out. Kindly leave. Nothing's that important. Keep your eyes up. Make eye contact. Threes, I hope wherever you went today, it went smoothly, buddy. And we're back tomorrow. Rothman and Ice coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Catch the latest from the world of Ohio State athletics. Weeknights at 6 on The Buckeye Show. New special guests in everything scarlet and gray. The Fan.